Hello and welcome to another Big Match Revisited. I'm Mikey Burrows, that handsome man you can see on the screen.
Michael!
Chris Alamo.
How are we?
I'm really good, thanks, mate. I'm really good. I'm really looking forward to this one, actually, because this is kind of a pivotal game in kind of Wolves' recent history, I guess. They've been out of the top division for a long time.
20 years was it?
Just shy of 20 years. And this is the closest that they had come. They'd had some playoff opportunities before, but this is the big moment.
Squeaky bum time, Michael, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the season before, they had been 10 points clear, I think, with about 10 games to go, and lost it. And it was the Albion who'd pipped them, and then they'd lost in the playoffs to Norwich in the semi-finals. So this is kind of a chance for redemption, I guess, for a lot of the players that are involved in this.
No, exactly. I think we've spoke to a few of those players, well, quite a lot of those players that were involved in that kind of crash towards the end. The wheels came off, really, didn't it? So, and no one really had a reason why. There's a few injuries, they were still playing well. They just needed to get those couple of points to go over the line, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't happening. So again, that in itself brings even more pressure the following season. And I've been shot down many times for saying it, Mikey, but for me, and going up as champions in the championship with Wolves, but for me, there's no better way to go up than through the playoffs. There's nothing that replicates these playoff matches, and I've had many an argument about it because you can't replicate these games. The atmosphere, the pressure, the responsibility that you've got to get the job done in those, like if it's the semis, the 180 minutes, and when the final comes, it's just that 90 minutes to kind of get over the line and get that result that you need. So for me, I've been very lucky. Whenever I've got to the final, I've been promoted 2 times through the playoff finals, and there's nothing that replicates
didn't you
that.
have one at Cardiff?
I had 2. So Stoke City.
The both were at Cardiff.
Both went at Millennium Stadium, and Brighton got promoted with Brighton at Millennium Stadium as well against Bristol City, and got promoted with Stoke against Brentford. And like I say, when I've got to the final, I've been lucky enough. I've never been on the losing side. But you know what? There is walking out like they've just done there, and seeing a sea of gold and black, and the red and white. You know what? The goosebumps. I'm getting it now just thinking about it. Put myself in that position, and that's a testament. That's when you look across the line and you think, right, this is our day. We're up for it. You know the players that have got those little cracks. You can see it. And if you watch this now, the Ince, the captain, he'll introduce himself. He'll walk across, introduce his players. There'll be some pleasantries exchanged, but you can tell by the players how they hold themselves, their body language, that it's who's the
Alex Ray laughing and joking. He's absolutely fine, Alex Ray. I'm Paul Butler, look.
You know what? Well, the relationship they had. It was love-hate, wasn't it? But they got the best out of each other. So again,
it's interesting you say about how they hold themselves, because Colin Cameron looked a little bit nervous there.
Well, you look at Colin Cameron. I think 7 goals in the season. He really but he led by example. He always wanted to get on the ball. I think the relationship him and Ince probably had, it was, and Alex Ray as well. When they played, he was full of energy. He got to the edge of the box as often as he could. He put himself in positions to kind of create chances and put the ball in the back of the net. And you know what? But the tactical side of it, I see you looking at your notes, Mikey. Have I thingied it wrong with 7 goals or what?
No. I'm just kind of. I'm actually messaging one of the people who might be coming on in a minute. But it's one of those where, like, this team, I was just saying to you, they had been through a horrendous time the season before to just miss out on the promotion, to then be back here. There must be so much going through their minds, because they know that things could have got really toxic had they not gone at this time. Having had it in their own hands the year before and lost it, to now have this opportunity again, it's almost like losing becomes unthinkable, doesn't it?
you've got to remember there's a lot of games between. You know, I think when they start this campaign, as soon as they come back that first day, I'm sure they would have spoke about it and say, right, last year, you know, we've got to learn from our mistakes, you know, complacency, whatever the reasons for what happened, you know, and it's a testament, you know, it shows the character of the group as a collective as well to go on, and they kicked on. I think it was January onwards, they kind of kicked on, didn't they, throughout this season. So it'll be quite interesting to see and talk to the players, because you know exactly how the group feels. You know, I'll speak about my own experience at Wolves. Is when we got promoted, you got to remember our Christmas period, we won 1 in 13, but I think we were 6 or 7 points clear, and I think we were still top after that 13 game period on goal difference alone. So in that period, we got psychologists brought into the group. You know, we got Mick, you know, he was on the ball, but we used to have team bonding things when we were flying. So it was just what else can Mick bring to the table that's going to make us think about this period that we're going through, because losing, not winning games when probably we deserved to win games, it just wasn't happening for us. So it'd be quite interesting to talk to the group through this campaign, the pressure, what happened the year before, losing the games, the point gap kind of depleting. It's going to be, here's the big man. Here he is. Yeah, all good, mate. It's all good. I'm just looking through the stats, Julian, as well. No goals from you and Butts, man. What's going on? Absolute animals, you are.
I don't even remember. Yeah.
I'm just looking at, as a striker, I'm expecting the two big meathead centre backs to come up with their goals.
See, that's it. How many clean sheets? That's the best response you can ever get to that.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll ask Matt Murray about that then, won't we?
Yeah, true. He played his part in that, to be fair. Dennis and that.
How you doing, mate? Anyway, you doing okay?
I'm good.
Family well and safe?
Yeah, man. Yeah, everyone's great. Everyone's well. Yours?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Very good.
Julian, how did you feel at this moment, just before kick-off? You've just gone through being introduced to the dignitaries. The noise in the stadium must have been unreal.
Yeah, but to be fair, this is the first time I've been out, obviously for the warm-up and that, but I didn't used to go out before the games to see the stadium and stuff. So, going out now, you just go through the same routine. You just obviously just trying to kind of keep as composed as possible, but obviously this not. Yeah, I'm injured yet, so I'm due to have the operation.
Yeah.
After
That's right, yeah.
After this game, and I think after the parade and stuff, I'm due to operation. So I'm probably knowing how bad it was. I don't know if they would have let me play now. To be honest.
Definitely
Oh
not.
my guy, this is it.
Yes.
My guy, late as usual.
What was the plan? What was the plan in the build-up to this, guys? So did you come down a couple of days before, or?
Yeah, we did. We stayed at the, I don't know the name of the hotel, but this was totally different. Now, turn your camera around.
Niels, we're seeing your, what's that, mate? Is that a little pool table there, or what? What's going on? You showed off there, or what?
It's the table, this. What's going on here?
Stop messing with the camera.
And get a tan. You need a tan, mate.
Mate, I know, you're kind of blending in with the background there, fella. What's going on?
No sun in Warsaw.
You've got a sunbed in the West Wing, have you not?
No, don't do some red. I'd rather be pale.
I can tell.
Right, talk to me, Niels, then. What's going on?
Preparation is fine.
You know what? I looked over this the other day, and we were right at it at the start.
I get run at the start. I'm sure I get run by Steve Cabba.
Steve Cabba, he does. He's got you scrambling. You're pulling the air, but you did.
Yeah, but then he called it. He called him the strong side, left side, and then boom. Yeah.
This might be it. It might be coming up to like early doors. I remember thinking, I don't need that kind of game. To be fair, Cabba was decent, man.
Good player, mate. Good player.
Yeah, he had a lot of ability. To be fair.
Well, I'm listening to Steve Bruce this morning talking about sizing the centre backs up. Is that something you did? Is you look at the striker and you have a bit of kind of eye to eye, one of those things? It's something that I knew the first header the first contact, I've got to let him know that I'm going to do that to him for the next 90 minutes, you know, as much as I can. Is that something that you would come through the back of me, just say, big man, that's what you're getting all day? Or
I tried to, the first opportunity, to be clever, not take a chance, but like, do something you're probably not expecting.
That was out.
Yeah, all good enough. Yeah, that was probably the thing, because obviously the heading and stuff like that, that was what it was. That was standard. That should be a standard part of your game. But I used to think, well, if he's trying to control it, then try and nip in front or something like that. So make him think more about that side of it than just me going through him. Because in our era, that was standard anyway, wasn't it? Someone was going through the back of you.
Of course, yeah.
Boys,
Back,
we were just.
But then if they tried to size you up, it'd be the strong arm on the line, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Boys, we were
Save
just
that for that.
debating, like, was Sheffield United kind of slight favourites for this? Because they'd had a really good year that year.
No, I don't remember that year. I think we drew to them 0-0 at home. Was it 0-0?
It was 3-3 away from home, right at the back end of April.
I think I give away a stupid goal then. It's just like, yeah. In terms of that, going into this game, this was totally different to the year before when obviously we lost to Norwich. We believed we were going to win this, like before we'd even got there. We played obviously Reading, right? And we were booking hotels for family members, and obviously we just kind of gone into the playoffs, where the year before we were like second. And
It was. I was always worried about Reading, though. Just that was my first worry. Like I never worried about this game.
There was no favourites. There was no favourites for this game. You both had done all right against each other through the season, but you just had that belief inside, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was just that different this year. It just felt a little bit different, yeah.
What about you, Neil? You've already said how well you've started, and you can see straight to business.
Yeah, we put all sorts of early doors. Like we were first of all.
Pass that, Blakey. You got to pass that.
Yeah, pass that.
What about the captain then? Did he? You know, obviously he takes the captain's armband, but there's big characters in that dressing room. He doesn't really need to say much to kind of get you up for the size of the match that it is it?
No, there's not many people in the dressing room there. It's frightening that have had a career already.
Yeah, I think all the names and stuff and all the players.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
What I love about that dressing room as well, like, I mean, Alex Ray, who scores the goal that gets you through in the semi-final, doesn't even actually play in this game.
Easy, mate. What about my goals?
Well, I mean, you scored a beautiful free kick in the first leg.
I got the important one, okay.
Mate, honestly, you need to we did a re-reviewed of watching the season review of this whole campaign a couple of weeks ago, and the commentator on the season DVD describes your free kick in the semi-final as like, oh, I'm not sure he meant that. And I was like, Nails would be fuming when he sees this.
Probably right.
Come on now.
It was low, right? Was it low, Nails? Was it a low one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. It was nice.
Too close to get up and down.
Yeah, it was nice.
But that's what I mean about the squad, that like you've got Alex Ray who made that contribution, and yet you didn't need him in this final because you had such an array of talent to pick from.
Colin Cameron, mate, honestly, Cams was different gear, I thought. His energy, his quality, some of the goals he scored that season.
Remember when he had the Cameron was obviously always decent, but he had problems with his teeth and that, and then he went to France, come back with this mad gum shield.
Yeah.
And that was it then. He just he changed. He just went on to another level.
Yeah.
He said he'd been playing in so much pain. And he come back with his gum shield. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, because before he came to us, the season he had with Arts was a joke.
Yeah.
It was an absolute joke. He scored like 20 goals, 20 plus goals or something like that from midfield. But then obviously he had all them bits, but big money.
This is it. I can feel it.
Such an unbelievable.
This is what I'm saying. Kenny will find you. Sparky, mate.
Tell you what.
It's a clean strike, that.
You know what? I looked through that season and I didn't give Sparks enough props, I ain't gonna lie. His quality was different. I overlooked the season, and I see like the amount of chances he created through that season was a joke.
He's a good player.
Such a great hit, isn't it?
It's
Though?
a great strike.
Nice. So us lefties, we look nice.
See, that's Blakey, mate. That's Blakey. Blakey at passing that.
Nah.
Well, that's the
Kenny,
thing,
mate.
because that's the second time in 6 minutes that you've had that massive gap on the left-hand side. Except, as you pointed out, he didn't play it the first time.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm looking at this, the balance in this team. Like obviously with Newts, Blakey and Kenny playing opposites, and Incy and Cams, you know, me and Butts, Nails, from down there, Dennis and stuff.
Yeah, all the units and that, the units there together.
Yeah, man.
Do you think what happened the season before put even more pressure on this game, or not?
I didn't feel more pressure.
No, I didn't feel that at all.
Probably hurt more because obviously we were so close, and the year before was West Brom, weren't it? So being up there and then losing it to
That
West
many
Brom,
points. That many points.
ridiculous. What was it, like 10 games left? We needed like 2 wins or something.
Yeah.
Didn't mean that then, was it?
But there was a lot of injuries, wasn't there? A lot of injuries, a few things that never kind of fell into place.
I weren't playing, weren't we?
Hi, man. Them ones there, you know. Where was you now? Was you not in the team?
Mo Kamara come in, didn't he? Well, I left us when we were top.
No. Forgot about that.
I left you in top spot.
Shit,
I can't believe 18 years on, Nails is absolving himself of all of it from that season. Just no, I was
He
fine.
has done his research. He has done his research, hasn't he? Now.
Oh, look at that
You're
pitch,
right.
by the way.
I thought I've been asked a lot of questions lately, so I thought because you know me, I can't remember nothing about this. Peter Unlove, oh my word! I made my debut against him.
What? Who for? Commentary.
No, he was at Blues. He scored. Lost 1-0 live on Sky. Absolutely shit myself. Oh, can I swear?
Yeah, it'll be fine. Mate, we had Alex Ray on a previous one, as you know. I'm doing this.
That's not saying that.
Kevin
That's not
McDonald.
kid
Kevin
friendly.
McDonald was the worst, mate. Bloody hell.
Good McDonald.
He's at Fulham now.
Yeah.
Good footballer, good footballer.
Very
Yeah.
good footballer, yeah.
Oh, Matty just coming and clearing house.
You know,
I remember, because I remember this. Obviously, so late in the game in this one, don't they like start throwing it outside of the box and that? Because Matty's coming for them.
but he's comfortable. He's an absolute unit. He's just good hands. I never had the pleasure of actually playing with Matty's for the 2 years that I was there, but he trained a few of the days. But he's got everything. Look at that's what you want from your goalkeeper, isn't it?
I
Big
used to
unit,
be off. I used to be
What's
off every time a cross was coming in. I just used to get off because I knew either one of these boys are going to win it or he's going to come and get it.
Yeah.
As soon as you had keepers, get out of the way. Out of the way, mate. Because he cleaned you up, and he used to love cleaning everybody up. So, yeah, I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of hitting me.
See, both of you boys obviously knew him when he first came through, and I remember talking to him when he said that like he wasn't actually that kind of physically strong at first, was he? He like Mike Stowell and stuff used to pin him down and make him do all sorts. And he kind of learnt that he had to get physically stronger as Nails goes to deal with his dog.
I don't know if he was. No, he's probably being polite there. He probably knew he was that strong. He probably didn't want to embarrass them as a 16-year-old to showcase that he's stronger than them. You know what I mean? So that he's probably being polite, but he obviously got more aggressive with it. So this is probably the only time he's aggressive on the pitch. He's never, you know what he's like.
Yeah.
A giant, I think. So
There's been quite a few kind of big balls forwards in this one so far. Like, was that a deliberate tactic that you thought if we just get it up early, Sheffield United can't deal with it?
Kenny's a nuisance, isn't he?
yeah, Kenny could do a lot of stuff, to be fair. Plus we had obviously out and out wingers as well.
Yeah.
And this is when is this 2003?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people weren't trying to play out from the back then. It wasn't a philosophy. And the worst thing is, if we did, Matty would have been decent at that because Matty could pass the ball.
Was that not something that you? Because obviously you can play. You like to come out from the back. So is that not? You're always wanting to kind of receive it then. So you're making an angle, and it's going.
That happened under Hoddle. That's when that.
Yeah, that's when it started happening. That's when he started to let me say, "Yeah, go on, go and
Yeah,
have a
but
kick."
the fans don't look at that period as a great period. Although a lot of the players that me and Mikey have spoke to have said that Hoddle was on another level. You know, tactically and how the football that he played. But the fans wouldn't agree with that.
It was just unlucky. Glenn, did we draw 21 games that season or something like that?
The most ever, yeah.
Yeah, it was just unlucky. It wasn't nothing to do with anything else. Like the way we played and stuff, and the way
the chances we created.
That was the most exciting.
Like 15 to 20 chances every game, which is outrageous stats. That's Man City stats.
Yeah. Yeah, almost sick.
Yeah.
Almost sick. Maybe I used to see them watch. I watched them do a session with Niles and Soul about and doing 1v1s and how to dribble at the fullback and how he explained it. I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. And then all of a sudden, you see Soul now. He's just dribbling at people, and that was it. That is when he just started to just like.
He became different, didn't he? He went to another level.
But he didn't really play before, and then Glenn come, and then he obviously seen the ability, and that was it. He just like getting taking corners, both feet from opposite sides. Yeah, he was up to no good.
He gave me a lucky charm, in the dressing room. I've still got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. He came in the dressing room one day and he gave out lucky charms.
What was it?
It's just like it was just like a metal piece with string on it, and it had some pattern on it. It says it's lucky. Yeah, have it. I says, okay, cool. I'll take that.
And to be fair, you went on to play in the Champions League, so it must have helped.
Well, there you go. Happy days.
Are you superstitious, Niels?
Yeah.
I think probably most footballers are, aren't they?
Oh, left shin pad on first. Left boot.
This age I was really bad.
Collars up, shirt out at the back. Oh mate, non-stop.
What were you like, Julian?
I was saying, I'd like stupid things like weird stuff not having to do with training, like I'd only fill my car up at a certain petrol station. You know what I mean? Like dumb stuff, like stuff that had no impact on the game. But that's the stuff I was thinking about, like the standard left foot first, left foot being left footed. That was that, but stuff away from training. Like I'd want to eat the same thing at the same time on like a Wednesday if I had a good game on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Like, that had no relevance to the game, but that was what I did. And then I think it was my last year at Everton, I kind of realised, he's getting far now.
I've got that.
Because you kept on having to go back to Wolverhampton to
I know, goes back to Quinton and that.
What about the night before? The night before any match, was this the same? You just done the exact same?
We shouldn't even tell you what we did the night before. We obviously remember nutrition wasn't what it is now. So we used to, and obviously the training facility wasn't the same as it is now. So there was no dinner after training on it. The day before a game, there was no meals. You used to get changed at the tennis club, and then maybe a baguette, like a chicken baguette, if you got there early with mayonnaise. So we used to probably have that. Yeah. Then on an away game, we used to go to the Caribbean shop. Yeah.
That's what
before
we
got on the bus.
Yeah.
Get on the bus with the Caribbean. Obviously, have full jerk chicken, fried chicken. Get to the hotel. So that would probably be about 3 o'clock when we're traveling. Bearing in mind, someone would we take it in turns, so someone would go to Asda to get all the sweets. So we'd have the Caribbean, then we'd have the sweets, then we get to the hotel and have dinner. Then me and Niles about 10:30 now, we'd order chicken sandwich and fries every away game. Yeah. Take it in turns, paying for it and that. Ridiculous.
Brilliant.
Or we'd end up in a fight with the old boys.
Yeah.
What, like a proper fight?
Yeah, old v young.
Because obviously it was like me, Nails, Niles is kind of wiry strong as well, so don't let that skinny frame fool you. And then obviously we had Matty as well. So we had Matty. So we had a couple of youngsters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Brady was strong.
Yeah, Brady was strong as well.
So there's you two, Matt Murray, Adam Prowlock. Who are you fighting?
So that Blakes. Kenny was there as well, but Kenny used to get him when someone was on the floor. Kenny wasn't that guy.
Kenny's a light runner.
Kenny, yeah, so he's not that guy. He's not built like that. He's not built like that, Kenny. So it'd be like Blake, Snooks,
George.
Yeah, George. Butts would have a little go, but yeah, Butts was big, so you're trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
You're trying to avoid that big old frame.
Because Butts has told me in the past that you boys were pretty tasty in the tunnel if things were going off as a team.
I'd back us against anyone.
Yeah.
Like, because we had some tasty guys, but they were thugs as well. Like, thuggish mentality. Because obviously you could get away with that as well back then. You could get away with doing stuff. Like, and if it went off in the tunnel, it's going off. It's not like maybe like people like blows were getting thrown and that.
10 fingers pointing.
Yeah, nah. There's not no pushing and shoving. It's like maybe someone's take one. You got it for Forest that didn't come back out in the second half. He took a shot.
Yeah.
He didn't come out second half.
Who went in? No, someone went in the dressing room. Who went in the dressing room?
Against Forest, I don't know. I remember when it was because that was like Jenness and Marlon Harewood's early days as well. And
that was when Addy was here, wasn't it?
Addy, mate. So like we had Addy Akinbaye, and that could just hold 4 men if he wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, but that puts you in good stead as well. Like you could mix it up. You could do the physical side of it. You could play, and then you had that kind of naughty side as well. That which you need. That the whole side complemented itself, didn't it?
The championship demands that, you know what I mean? So you have to.
Exactly.
Obviously, then because it used to happen frequently, it wasn't even. It's not something you talk about. Like I probably talk about it now more about them times than I did then, because it was just the norm. It was just like, oh, that's happened. Okay.
Yeah.
The next game. Because obviously no one was getting sent off even. Blades could have it as well. Because
when he switched.
Yeah, he could have it.
Is it Paul Butler told the story? I think he said that he used to like arrange it with Paul Ince where one would go at one end of the tunnel and one would go at the other. So there was like a pincer movement so no one could get out.
Oh, mate. Because obviously the away dressing room...
people,
Yeah. The away dressing room's higher than the home used to be. So that Forest incident was when Matty's standing past... So a few of their guys have gone into the dressing room and then Matty's standing like outside the home dressing room. And then a few of their guys have tried to come back out. He's literally just put his arms across the hallway, the corridor, and just held everyone. So like there's about 6 or 7 of them now stuck in the middle of our like the tunnel and the dressing room, and it's going up. It's going up. Oh, there's people, their players trying to hide in our gym, the old gym. Yourself and that.
Sheffield United probably had some players in there that were quite tasty. Yeah. In fact, I definitely know they had some players in there that were quite tasty. They had a bit of a reputation at times.
Yeah, but they didn't want it like that. They're tasty on the pitch, but they didn't want it. They didn't want it like that. It's different being hard man on the pitch and then no one's talking on the pitch and then you get in a tunnel and it's going off.
Yeah.
Totally different.
I tell you what, absolute bopping it though. In complete control, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it got a bit messy, I'll be honest. And then, like, everything that was coming our way, though, we sort of dealt with. Dennis had, he had a few naughty tackles in this game.
Well, I mean, so far, the referee seems to have let a lot of things go. It's like, it's kind of led to a really good tempo from it.
Yeah.
It's a different game then, though, wasn't it? The referees just the kind of the game used to flow a lot more, but now it's kind of stop-start, isn't it?
And it'd be interesting to see that actually, how the average time of a game or playing time has changed.
Ball in play and that.
Yeah.
Because because when I do like some of the work I do now, like the games, 60 minutes. 60 minutes is the maximum. Really.
Dave, this was.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Ridiculous. Tell you what.
Unreal save.
He's been part of the two of the biggest games of my career. And this in the QPR game.
That QPR. Did you watch the game last night? Did you watch the game last night? I was telling you about.
I see
You know, I put on the group chat. That's assist. You got a goal.
Assist, mate? Nah, mate. That's assist, mate. That's assist.
Boom. 2-0. There you go. Give us the Premier League.
And it was just like that. Just shut up shop. You knew. Well, you knew at 1-0. You're sitting thinking, right, we're on top, completely dominating the match. 2-0 now. There's no chance. Complacency sets in.
No, it's still one of them sticking like to celebration. Remember that? We spoke about that.
Yeah. That was the thing, though. To be fair, as good as tackling players we had, the teams that played, we enjoyed the game. We enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So we were confident that we could hold out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know when you had that confidence in the man next to you. That like, I've never been that confident ever than what I was at Wolves at that time. Like, I just knew if the ball went over my head, you were getting it. And if ever you're in trouble, I'll always there. That's how I always felt.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it was never something we worked on in training. It was just a genuine we're trying to help each other. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? So when you see you never worked at it at training, like you're talking about defending, covering, is that just a relationship it just kind of happened?
Yeah. We just kind of heard it.
I think I said this before to you. I said from the youth team. First time I worked on my game was with Glenn Hoddle.
Yeah.
And that's 7 years later.
Yeah, the most I've worked on it. Obviously, TC helped me though. So TC would coach me on areas, on aspects of my game, which was massive. But in terms of like a team coaching, Glenn was the most how we should set up and how we could affect games and stuff like that.
So I'll ask both of you then, is there someone that you looked at and thought, right, that's how I want to play for both your positions or not?
As in that was in the team before or just in general?
No, in general, yeah.
Not really, no. Not for me, anyways.
So you just knew what you were all about. You knew.
I just knew I had a bit of pace. I knew I had a decent left foot, and I was 100%. So that's all you can give. And I love football, so that. So I don't, being like anyone else is. Because
Really, did he ever have a little moan up, Niels? He seems the kind of player that if the striker's not, if I wasn't holding it up, I'm sure he'd be one player to say something to me or not.
Who's that?
Niels.
Niels have a moan up.
Would have a little moan up, yeah?
Not really. Nah, he wasn't like that. To be fair, Niels was like he's easy going now. But as I said, we kind of had a demand from each other, so it wasn't like he's waiting for someone.
To respect.
Yeah, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, but if someone's not pulling their weight, you've got to.
No one must. You can see there. You can see like I see Nathan Blake sliding tackles and that. That wasn't a thing with this team. Like no one was never going to carry their weight. Like everyone would have done the things that were necessary. Yeah, the quality side of it may have changed. Inti used to pull me up on that side of it. Inti pulled me up a couple of times. If my game was like changing and stuff, he would have it. He would pull me and have me. But again, I respected him that much. Like Inti, I wanted to be Inti before I joined Wolves. You know what I mean? So I was a midfielder. So that is different. But no one would do that.
He'll start telling you as a striker. Don't listen to this one. Don't listen to this one.
Everyone thinks they're a striker until they realise they're not a striker. But I was playing in midfield, mate. Dickhead. I got signed by Wolves as a midfielder.
Yes.
He scouted me as a midfielder.
Les, yeah, wow.
Yeah. Season. Sick.
Oh, Saba.
Handful. He caused me a problem. Him and my Alan King at Gillingham. They give me my first season. They give me a taste. To be fair.
Julian, on Paul Ince, like you say, obviously he was a bit of a hero of yours before he arrived. So what was it like? Kind of was he as you imagined him to be?
I don't know. I didn't imagine. I hadn't imagined him. Like
I've never seen anything like that. Incy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've never come across anyone like that. But in terms of how I thought, I was young and naive to not think like that then. I didn't think, what's he going to be like? It was like, it's Paul Ince. I don't care what he's like. It's Paul Ince. Like, that was the only mindset you had. But yeah, in terms of his mentality, like, yeah, when he used to talk about football and say stuff, especially to Kenny, because they were close, but
Yeah,
they was on the same page. So when he used to flick it around the corner first time, Kenny went there and he used to blame Kenny, and we were like, Ince, you're giving the ball away. He said, no, that's where you should be when I'm in these positions. And as soon as he kind of explained that to Kenny, that was it then. It never went wrong. Like, Kenny would just be there, and he said, if I don't play it, then it's my fault. If I play it and you're not there, then it's your fault. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's just different way of playing, isn't it? When you're being at the top, it's different ways of playing. Like when you go higher, people play different. People expect more.
Well, on that then, so when you look at the two teams before the match, Wolves got 7 players that have played in the Premier League before. They've got 2 players in their team that's won the Premier League before. That experience has got to be. I'm surprised Wolves weren't favourites. Looking at the comparison,
they bring a different mentality to. So when you're in a circle
This guy, I can't see at the bottom. You can't see at the bottom, can you? You haven't opened up your screen, mate. This clownfish come on the screen. You haven't seen him come in there, have you?
The big dog. That's who.
The smallest dog of all. 25 cent, mate.
The big dog's in. Look at me running things as usual.
You did. Hey, I want to give you props, lad.
There, Kenny. The hairline was strong.
Too strong. Look at the hair. The hair's on fire.
Yeah.
How are you, Chris?
very good. Yourself? You doing okay?
Plan new. What
When
a
you
game
heading
that
back,
is.
Ken?
Sorry?
When you heading back?
A couple of weeks, hopefully. As long as everything's sorted out, but it's up in the air at the moment. But we should be back maybe mid-June latest.
Yeah.
Kenny, Julian and Nails have said that they knew that they believed that we're going to win this match. They just knew by just looking at the dressing room. What about yourself? The build-up, the superstitions. Did anything come into play for yourself?
I knew at half-time we were 3-0 up. No, like again, see, going into that game, I was actually thinking. I was thinking about the team the other day, and see, when you look at that team, that's a very, very good team. You know, like, I mean, Chef, you were a good team as well and had a really good season, but we were a bit different for the year before. We were on a bit of a low going into the playoffs. We were on a high that year and really believed it was the year. And I think at the start of the season, signing Ince, bringing Dennis in, were massive, absolutely massive signings. And you put their experience along with Mickey, Paul Butler, and you blend the youth that obviously myself and Nails and Jolien brought to the team. 2 unbelievable wingers as well, and Sean Newton and Mark Kennett. So just such a strong team, and that guy there who's just let one go over him there. What a day he had, Matty Murray. He was an absolute monster on the day. So, you know, like that team, like, it was an outstanding team. You know, real strong to back to front. So, I mean, we won the game 3-0. Obviously, Big Matty had to produce a penalty save at the start of the second half to keep it that way. Otherwise, it could have been nervy. But we got through it, and you know, it was only what that team deserved over the course of the season.
What about your
Blakey,
return?
well, I think I went through everybody there bar Blakey, but Blakey as a foil for me was absolutely incredible. He took all the hits, he worked his socks off, he held up, he scored a big number of goals as well. I mean, it was a fantastic partner for me over the time at Wolves.
What about your return though? Was it 24 goals this season? Did that surpass what you expected of yourself, or did you not reach the numbers you wanted?
Well, again, it was one of the seasons that it started actually pretty slow. I was a wee bit in and out of the team as well at the start of that season, but I think from the FA Cup run, the boys will tell you, the FA Cup run that year was massive for us. We started off the second half of the season, beat Newcastle in the cup, and we were incredible that day. What a game that was! And then we just kicked on for there, and I think I was selling like 18 goals in 24 games. It was in the second half of the season, so I found my feet in the second half of the season with a consistent run in the team. And again, like I said, look at the boys that are supplying you. They wide players and Sparky and Nuts. Again, with Dennis backing that up, with Nails backing up for full-back areas. Mickey and Ince, I mean, again, they were a really, really good foil for each other. Ince was a kind of controller and sat and dominated and
everyone played a part, didn't they? Like even subs and
incredible.
stuff. Like everyone in the squad literally played a part. Like G, Prairie as well. Everyone played a part that season.
As well, yeah.
No,
I was going to say, Kenny, like you had Dean Sturridge who'd scored a load of goals.
Bloody hell, yeah.
Yeah, you had Sturridge, you had Alex Ray. Alex Ray was sitting on the bench that day as well. You know, so we were a strong team, like starting team, but we were a strong squad as well. And that's, you know, that was a straight red, by the way.
That's a red card. It's a red card.
Typical West Coast Gallen. It's actually no like him. He never normally tackled. He just played the game. No, but it was a strong squad, real strong squad, and I think that helps. That you ask any coach, any manager, they want competition in the ranks because it drives you day to day. If you've got good competition for places, but when it keeps you on your toes, if you're not performing, you're out. So we had, like we named a few there: Dean Sturridge, George, and Dan. I mean, George played a big part in that season.
Yeah, he did.
Blakey was injured for that wee spell.
Even Proudy came in for a couple of games and scored a
couple of goals. Yeah, scored a couple of goals. So it was a strong team, you know, a real good squad. We deserved that, and it was. I mean, what a day! I mean, the boys are boys. I'll tell you, what a day we had. What a night. Building into it. I mean, I'll be honest. At half time, you're walking in and you're looking about the dressing room. You're thinking, "Why, we've done it." You know, that's us. We're there, but you don't.
I said to Jolyon. I remember walking off the pitch and saying to Jolyon, "We've won."
Yeah, I mean, great day. I mean, brilliant memories. I say, once I knew it was coming on this, I was kind of looking back over it and running through our team and squad, and it's a fantastic time. You know, I mean, 17 years. It's phenomenal. 17 years went by. But what a day! Yes, to be honest, one of my best days in football that day. It was incredible.
Yeah. And at Hampden playing against Italy now.
That was a personal day. It was when I threw Cannavaro and messed all over Hampden. That was the good day personally. But it was that day as a team and everything. I mean, again, out that team again, boys, you remember it. Like that was a tight group. You remember the nights, the things we'd have. Like if we were having a night on a Tuesday or Wednesday when we were off, obviously, turn that phone off, Niels, and or at the weekend if we would have night, like there was always about 10-12 boys there, you know, a real tight group of boys, and again probably the best dressing room I've been in over the course of my career.
Boys, you talk about the dressing room, you talk about the memories. This is kind of a dream for Wolves fans on this reunion. Geraldine Lescott, Lee Naylor, Kenny Miller, and now Colin Cameron. Hello, Colin.
Oh, Mickey.
Mickey, lad. Afternoon, guys. All right.
All right, Mick.
Hey, Cams.
Look at Mickey, put the strip up in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, I was going to put a top on as well. I was going to put, yeah.
I thought I'd come out in the Sharky and up the top at the back. Can you hear me all right, aye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've joined us,
Great
Colin.
memories,
You're 2-0 up and cruising, and all these boys are saying that they knew that you were definitely going to win by this point.
I think we all kind of felt really confident before the game even started. I think the way the second half of the season, especially for January, I think we only lost 2 games. And we just had that confidence about us that we were determined and we were right for the start, you know. We were on the front foot. Sparky's goal, you know, it's a great start for us. And for there, I never had any doubt either that we were going to win. I think I just heard there, you know, at half time, I think we were looking at each other thinking, Jesus, it's pretty much done.
It was literally like looking at each other in the dressing room thinking, yeah.
But if you remember when we went out for the warm up, our whole fans were there. Like, the place for the minute we went out on that pitch was absolutely rocking.
That's what I mentioned. I mentioned that to Mickey before, didn't I?
Yeah.
I said before we even started the game, that feeling was there straight away to win.
I think even the fans, you got that feeling for the fans that the fans were confident as well.
Yeah.
You know? What's that?
Blakey then, he just like, rammed him in the back, didn't that give a goal? Brilliant.
Would you say the playoffs, it's the best way to get promoted? I went up as champions with Wolves, but I've been promoted twice through the playoffs. And I've got to say, going up, there's nothing that replicates the playoff matches. Cheers, Niels.
Yeah. I think that's because it's a one-off game, and it's a cup final, whereas the league, you're over the course of the season, maybe you've won the league before, you know, 2 or 3 games before the end, whereas that is just a one-off game, cup final, and I think it's the best way to do it, you know. And saying that, we would have preferred to go up the season before when we had the chance and we just couldn't get over the finishing line, but it was exact opposite the season that we went up. You know, we come late into form, whereas the season before we weren't in form going into the playoffs and we weren't confident. You know, whereas that season we were.
Can I ask why was that? You know, the form became good. What was there a catalyst for that? Was there a, you know, obviously new players coming into the dressing room, loans, whatever it may be? You've already touched on that. Everyone in the squad played a part. You know, so what was the catalyst to kind of get you on that form?
I don't know. I think having, you know, bringing in Insee and Dennis Irwin was a big thing for us. You know, they'd been there, seen it, done it. You know, they knew what it was all about, and I think their experience helped us the season that we went up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
What happened to building for the back there, J-Lo? We're not building for the back, lad.
That wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing then, was it?
They can't score a goal. They can't score a goal at that end of the pitch, Kenneth.
Yeah. You have to
Get
get
it up
up
to the
line.
monster up front. Let him hold it up.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy.
He weren't getting away from me. Come on.
I'm surprised you never went to the ground there, Niels.
Good defenders don't go to ground, Cam. Come on now.
That's a great save, that as well.
Tell you what,
That was the same.
Insee was telling you then. Insee was about to tell you something then.
No, it wasn't me. I've done a 50-yard sprint, then I've done 2 doggies, and then he's blamed me. Look at all the people right now.
Hey, look at the gold jerseys run about the ball. The jersey just hounding it. If it went past one, the next one was in to do them. Then
that save right there was key.
Yeah.
It's a big save.
But it just didn't look like he was going to get beat that day, eh? You know, just no matter what they was getting flung at him.
He was an absolute monster that day.
The skinniest legs in the world go for the size of body that he's got.
What's he doing that far right anyway? Stand your line, mate. Stand your line.
You know, he's coming for that cross. That's what he was doing.
That's what he was doing, yeah.
Easy bastard. Easy, man. Stand your line.
But Kenny, you've touched on there's a lot of kind of gold jerseys around the player defending for their lives. Is that? But the boys have said there that it's not something David Jones worked on a lot. So what did he implement as a manager then?
Well, I think the best thing he done was he got boys that were leaders on the park. A lot of them, you know, throughout that team. You know, they done his job for him pretty much. If there was anything happening, us on the pitch just got in amongst each other, and you know, like we dealt with it. You know, I remember a couple of occasions. Remember the game at Burnley, it's the smallest tunnel in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, but we were all, you know, everybody stuck up for each other. If somebody was having a hard time, we were all getting around them and saying, "Come on," you know. With a right good team ethic, and if there was anybody slacking, which didn't really happen too often, everybody was on their case. I think we were a bunch of moaning gits, to be honest.
Hold on, bring that back.
All right, maybe not you, Dales.
You, Kenny.
Yeah, Incy.
The Scottish contingency.
Oh my God.
There it is, Kenny.
They were non-stop. They were non-stop. Relentless.
Yeah, Mickey.
Relentless.
You care, them boys never care as much as us, know what I mean?
Exactly. You get beat, they just go away. Hey, my, all right. You're tearing their hair out. Obviously, me as well.
What was you tearing out?
My hair. I did have some.
I remember when I first came down to Wolves, and I'm still obviously young, I was 21, and Jolie, you would have been what, 16, 17 when I first, 17? Sorry, wait a minute, same age as me actually, aren't you? 40?
Yeah, right, okay.
So Jolie must have been 17, and I just came down, and it was my first game or away at Preston. So I came down, and where I'd come from, and I grew up, there wasn't really music in the dressing room, and I remember just coming in the dressing room quiet, I just didn't sit in the corner assessing what's going on. And I looked at these two clowns in the corner. Lescott and Naylor have got their earphones on themselves, dancing away in the corner as if they've made it. And I was thinking, what's going on here? These two boys look young. Joe looks, I know he's young, he looks old, but I know he's only I couldn't believe it, but you know what? They boys backed it up. They absolutely backed it up. And it only took me a few weeks in, and I thought we'd become really good friends with the boys.
Settled you in, didn't we, Ken?
What a left side of the defence we had. Young, really young, but outstanding.
Guys, Dennis Irwin has just cut someone in half, and I'm not even sure he's going to get booked in.
This is what I told you. Dennis was.
Yeah, but he's like even now that happens with players that you have a rep ahead of you. So like, yeah, people gave that. That could have been a red. That was worse than my time.
Yeah, that was naughty. That.
It's just even a matter. Who's going to go past him again, or even try and go past Dennis that day?
It got real scrappy at one point this game. It was literally just booting it 100 yards to each other. I watched it back the other day when you sent me the link, and I was just thinking, this is such a poor game.
Didn't matter, did it?
Yeah, who remembers what games are like? Like I woke up finals.
Oh, well, when you now you analyse things differently, and you're like,
that's a straight red.
That's brutal.
Ugly.
Oh. They might get
Probably because he was such a nice guy that the ref thought, and he's getting them off.
It was just about winning, wasn't it? It was about like, it was happy, but we needed to, at 2-0 to be honest, we didn't need to win the game, you know. We didn't need to now do much. We're 2-0, like, we could suck them in, we could try and hit them on the break. If we got the third, obviously, it's going to be a long, long way back for them. So we didn't really do much there, and the boys defended well. The boys put their ball, that's the one thing about that squad. The boys just fought for each other. Like when that wee pass was going, when the lad was going at Nails, goes past Nails or tries to go past Nails, and there's 2 or 3 bodies there to dig him out. We just hounded it. Look at the goal jerseys. You're not getting through that. You're not getting through that. And then you've got that guy in the goal who, like you said, that day was not going to be beat. No matter what, he was not going to be beat that day.
That can be frustrating for a striker like yourself. You want to get your goal. You want to be part of that moment as well. And if the kind of the style of play, they get a little bit more defensive, that can be frustrating for you as well, does it not? Or not?
Always knew it was coming. Always knew it was coming, Chris. Look at that.
There he goes!
What a finish. There's the wings,
never.
The wings! The R9 wings, you know. Oh my God.
Kenny, did you have 2-0 on the coop and you tried your best to miss that?
Any part of the anatomy on the ball, Mickey. You know the drill.
I know, it doesn't matter as long as it goes in the back of the pocket.
What a day. I mean, that was bang on half time as well. It was a foul there as well, by the way. But again, I was actually having to check offside. I thought I could have been offside. I was sneaking ahead of the players in front of me, but right back just played me on. So
yeah, it's poor defending from him. That he should stay up, man.
Step up and it's offside.
Great
Exactly.
ball.
We want it. Chris, that's where we want it, in between the goalkeeper,
Exactly.
in between the goalkeeper and
Exactly.
defender.
Great
Nice
finish.
save.
That
Little
moment,
touch.
right there. Wow.
To be fair, Dave Jones, he doesn't really need to say much to get half time, does he, guys?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember smiling. Thinking,
You don't remember what?
yeah, seriously, literally sitting there thinking, there's no way we're conceding 4. It wasn't even about, it was just conceding 4. I was thinking, we're not conceding 4 goals. So we're up.
Yeah.
I remember TC after it. TC, man, oh, it sticks to me. Absolute bubbling. It's so great and emotional.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was like amazing. Absolutely amazing.
He's smart as well. TC's an ugly crier, man. He's an ugly crier. He's just snot and everything coming down his nose and all sorts of it. That's my guy, but I can tell you that he's an ugly crier, man. Ugly. I don't know if he was happy or sad.
Oh, funny.
I actually seen him yesterday in the park.
To be fair, when you look at their team's strong as well. Huh?
Yeah.
Good team. Some boys are really good team that went on.
Could you sense from them walking in at half time that they knew they were beaten?
I didn't really think about anything of them at all that game. I was just thinking, it was all about us always. For the fans, that one.
Big man was focused as well. Big man was focused the whole game. You never seen him crack a smile. Saved the penalty, saved 3 kicks. The big man put the zone.
Oh mate, yeah, that was what he was like though. You know what I mean? He couldn't relax.
Yeah,
at all
game day, he was different, man.
He was horrible, man. He used to be sick, like all the time. The nerves was really Matty.
Yeah. There we go.
Well done.
You must have done well, Ken. The camera was on you for a while there.
It was an assist and a goal, mate.
I said that before you came on. I thought you were a different gear that time. That game.
I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah, you did. You heard me say channels. You put the graft in.
What a day, man. What a day.
Jolien and Lee, it's been brilliant to have you on. I know we've had you on for absolutely ages, so I'll let you go. But just before you do, this team, this group and this game, where does it rank in your careers?
Well, for me, it's up there. I've got best mates out of this team. So this is obviously one of the days of my life that it will always be one of the best. And memories I can take from it. So yeah, it's well up there.
Yeah, same. Like the first time I'd experienced like success, unreal, and it doesn't. Like I was lucky enough to have obviously other success after this, but this doesn't kind of go away. The feeling of this game and the memories, and like now, instead of lifetime friends from this team, still to now. And football's a weird thing, as you all know. Like you pass across again later on, and like seeing Cam's now, first time I've seen him in years. But yeah, it's just great memories and that. You know what I mean? And obviously I worked with Itzy, and like it's just crazy. It's crazy. All these characters and personalities played a massive part in my career. Massive. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Boys, it's been brilliant to have you joining us. Thank you, Jolien and Lee.
See you, boys.
See you, boys.
Stay safe, guys.
Yeah, man.
You too.
Peace.
Bye.
We've got plenty more guests to join us as we get into the second half here. So, Colin, you don't remember, there wasn't a lot said at half-time then in this one?
If there was, I wasn't listening. I never really heard anything, to be honest with you, or I can't really remember it much being said. We weren't shocked that we were 3-0 up, but I don't think, before the game, we expected to be 3-0 up at half-time. We were confident going into the game that if we played the way we were capable, we'd beat Sheffield United. We'd have beat anybody in the division if we played to our capabilities. So to get the 3 goals, we were supremely confident that we weren't going to give up a 3-goal lead, and that we were going to at least you know, win the game and get promoted. It's a great feeling at half time. It's probably, I've played in a couple of other cup finals, fortunately, but as far as days go, that's probably the best day I've ever had, because I was able to enjoy it. Yeah. You know, because we're 3-0 up, you were able to take in the atmosphere and that, whereas I was thinking back, and when I was at Hearts and we beat Rangers in the Scottish Cup final, couldn't really enjoy that game because we got 2-0 up, then it went 2-1. For the last 10 minutes we were just hanging on for dear life, so couldn't really enjoy the whole occasion until the game was over. Whereas that day, you know, 3-0 up at half time, we're like, great, go out, look at the fans, you know, take it all in. Superb.
That's exactly what I was going to ask about. Like, Kenny, were you able to enjoy the match? I know that the way that you play, high energy, you know, you chase everything down. It's just one of them. It's sometimes if you take the result away and then you look at the match itself, there's matches that everything just, let's just going off your touch, your flick-ons, the runs, everything's just kind of falling into place. Was it a game for you personally that you could enjoy?
Oh, I did enjoy it. I mean, a game, any game, when you look back on it and you've won the game 3-0 in a game at that magnitude, you obviously look back and you think it must have been decent. But like you say, there were spells that were scrappy, but when you've got a role, you know, you've got your role to do, and that, when you look back on this game, everybody done their role. You know, everybody did their job. Like myself and Blakey up front, we got a hold of the ball, we got us up the field, we scored goals. Yeah. The defenders, when they got in our box, they were putting their body on the line, they were blocking it. If they got past that final line of defence, then Big Matty was there to save it and do his role, do his job. Mickey and Ince again, like I said before Mickey came on, what a really, really good foil for each other they were. I mean, Mickey was all energy, he could get up, and he was a great player to play alongside Mickey because he's forward running. There's no many players at that time done that. Yeah. And there's no many players that do it now. You know, like, I've been fortunate to play with a couple. Mickey and the wee guy Jason Holt I played with at Rangers, but done a similar job. There's bundles of energy to get forward, but like obviously now, teams three in the middle there. Look at that, what a save.
I don't know whether you can see, he timed it perfectly. Big Matty's here.
How are we doing, everyone all right?
How you doing, lad?
I'm all right. I do have to watch that penalty save. I've never watched that back, never spoken about it.
Come on, big man.
How does he look in the goal, though? There's nobody hit.
No, it's just, I don't know if you remember, like, we've been practicing penalties, hadn't we? Because we thought maybe it would go to a penalty shootout because we've been pretty even. We only played them a few weeks before, hadn't we, in the, you know, towards the end of the league. And something I'd practiced with Bobby Mims and all you guys behind, and something that Dean Sturridge has spoken about. We knew that he wanted to go to the keeper's left. He took 5 or 6 penalties that season. So that's why I showed him that little bit more. So it was nice to have the moment. The only bit was that then Cabba put the rebound behind the goal and I had to take a goal kick. And you know me, I don't like taking goal kicks, man. I'd rather it went out for a corner.
Did he ship the Joe in? Did he ship the Joe line back to take the goal kick?
Yeah.
You also wiped out Lee Naylor in the follow-up as well.
Oh yeah, that was the plus bit, bouncing into nails. But that's why I look so serious after saving it, because I feel I've got to do a goal kick, man. But you know what's crazy about this game? Actually, a few of the goals came from my kicking, and that never ever happened. But
well done, a couple of assists, yeah, well done.
No, they don't really. I don't think they're quite on that level with the quality of the finishes. But it was a great day, and with all you guys. But Kenny, that goal you scored just before half time, oh, that was such a calming moment. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, it was definitely, because at 2-0, you're thinking, you lose a goal, they're right back in it, But see, I think it knocked the stuffing out of them more than anything else. Getting that third goal for us, because they knew they were never going to get 3 goals against us, especially not that day. Yeah. Especially with you in goals as well, because it wouldn't matter what, 100 shots, I don't think any would have saved them all the way that you played that day, and probably most of the season, to be honest with you, big man, you were colossal for us.
No, it's very kind of you to say, and it was a nice debut season for me. But I just felt, you know, on that day we were all at it, weren't we? Every single one of us was at it, and I just felt to a man. They had good players, and they got to the semi-finals of both cup competitions. They beat us earlier in the season, but I still felt on that morning when we had the walk, and just with the team we had, goal-scoring form, Kenny was in. You say Jolie, and the blend of youth and experience. I just knew, especially when we got those early goals. I don't know, just felt like our day.
Boys, we had obviously Jolie and Lee Naylor on a little bit earlier, and they were saying that their pre-match meal the night before was, I think, chicken and chips.
After Caribbean food.
After a bit of jerk chicken on the coach on the way down. I mean, is this what it was like?
I remember that, to be honest. I must have had a pasta. I must have had a pasta.
All I would say is, if you look at pictures of Jolien now, then when he was playing, to how he was later in his career, you could see that Jolien trimmed down a little. Nails, yeah. Look, Jolien and Nails' motto when they were young was, if it doesn't taste good, it's not good for you. That's what their motto was. And then Jolien obviously had a bit of the knee injuries. And like, look, Kenny was never heavy in any way, but I can remember when Kenny as well was in the gym just before you got your move out of Wolves, mate, and you were skipping every morning, doing the pull-ups, doing everything. And Cams, you'd always, obviously you were a little bit older, so you knew about it. But I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, I didn't realise quite as much what to put in my body until I got a little bit older. So Jolien and Nails eating that does not surprise me one bit.
I tell you what, I think I eat better now than I did when I was playing.
You ran all day, Vicky.
Sorry?
You ran all day.
Well, I had to because I had to make up for, I think, obviously.
Energy to burn a little, man.
I know. No, that was probably the biggest part of my game. You know, that I can get up and down the park, help out defensively, and then obviously help you and Blakey up top. You know, as Kenny say, I don't know. You know, I wouldn't, in this current day, there's not a lot of proper box-to-box players.
Yeah, it's different. But the night
I'll have to ask you then, it was something that Jolien and Neil said. They said that you were playing in pain. I think maybe earlier in the season you had to go and get a special gum shield made.
Yeah, that happened when I was at Hearts. I just developed a stomach pain, and it was just a pulling sensation that eventually I had to stop playing, and I missed 3/4 of the season back in, I think it was 98, 99. So I went to see an osteopath in Paris, and he says that one side of my face, the muscles are constantly tight. So throughout time, it knocked my whole body out the sink, and it was my pelvis. So I got a gum shield fitted, and that released the tension. But I also still had to go over, it was probably once a month, over to Paris to see the osteopath, just to basically click me back into shape. And I had missed seeing him, so it was the pain was there, you know, and you just had to grin and bear it and get through the game.
When you say gum shield, is it like a boxing or rugby type gum shield?
Yeah, just on my bottom teeth. It just slips on, clear, so you can't see it.
That must have been weird to play in.
Only to start with, only the first sort of month till I got used to it, and then you forget it's even in.
Do you know what was interesting, Joe? Just sorry to digress a little. When you're talking about the night before, a couple of nights before, obviously for me this was the biggest game I'd ever played in. Cam's obviously played in cup finals. Kenny had already, played at a massive club in Rangers and all that. For me, this was the biggest game I was ever going to, ever played and ended up playing in. And I remember the 2 nights before we travelled down. Darren Campbell, Blakey, Georgian Dar, Incy, everyone was in our room the night before and we're chatting, and I was a bit nervous. And Darren Campbell just said, "Are you all right, big man? What's happening?" So I said, "Look, I'm cool. I'm looking forward to the game, but I'm nervous." And he spoke about it, and the words of wisdom he gave me really, really calmed me down. So he said, "Look, you haven't just arrived here, going to play in the final. Everything you've done since your age of like 8, 9, going to training, everything else for these moments. As a sprinter, I might train for 4 years, and I've got 100 meters to run or 200 meters to run. If a false start, my Olympics is done." So, and he just said, "So just enjoy it, prepare the best you can," and spoke all about that. And I always remember those words just calmed me down, just being the best you could be, and you sort of belong there. So just talking about the night before and everything else, that was something that when I had that chat with Darren, he probably doesn't even think much of it. That were really, really good words of wisdom that helped me get a good night's sleep.
It's just something that Kenny said. He said about all the players knowing their roles and their responsibilities. This was basically a perfect match for you. Every ball that was there to be claimed, you came. Every ball, the saves that you made in the first half, you've missed them, but some of the reaction saves you made, Matty, it was the perfect 10 out of 10 performance from yourself.
I think the team, the whole team complemented each other. So you knew on the wings you had Newts and Sparky. So if I came and caught a cross, they were on their way. You know, Butts and Jolin would protect you in that. You know, we had that triangle, so they knew they heard keepers. They were looking to block or get on the goal line. The conditions were fantastic, absolutely bang on. Look, everyone knows I'm not Edison playing out from the back in that way, so I wasn't asked to do that. It was about, you know, either throwing it out or just trying to hit areas. But the whole team all the way around. But I say the conditions were perfect, and I just felt that as a team we really, really trusted each other. We demanded from each other, whether it was in training, in games. But I just felt that the camaraderie was really, really good, and I thought that Dave Jones had built a good team in the way he had the youth, the blend of, he had the experienced ones, Butts, Blakey, Incy, Dennis. Then you had the what sort of in between, if you like, of Sparky, Cams, and all those sort of guys who'd already been promoted but still in their prime, if you like. And then the younger players like Kenny, Jolie, and myself coming through. And I just thought the blend was right. So yeah, it was a nice game for me. But I just think that, I don't know how the lads feel, but for me, when the early goal went in, settled us down, and everybody's first touch seemed to go well for them, and we just grew and grew, and I just knew it was going to be our day.
I think just looking at that bit, Kenny touched on it. Whenever Sheffield United had the ball, they never had any time to get their heads up and pick out a pass. There was always somebody putting pressure on them. That's probably about 15 minutes. I've been here 20 minutes, and there's not one set of Sheffield United players got the ball with loads of time.
I'm watching it as well, and I'm thinking, like, how deep I am actually defending in this part of the game as well. Like, you're dropping back. I mean, you talk about formations now, and there's so much tactics and analysis of football these days that we played 4-4-2. Yeah. But at the point really are we 4-4-2, you know, like I'm backing as like a kind of fifth midfielder to help out. I know the circumstances are dictating that you need to do a little bit, but I can't remember actually being that within the game, actually being that kind of deep and connected to the midfielder to help out. But that obviously at that moment it was all hands on deck. We didn't want to give them that lifeline. Again, if we came in that again, the good thing about that team, if we had won the game 3-1, 3-2, by the way, we're up and that's that. But I think the boys wanted that clean sheet. You know, they wanted that clean sheet. Matty, as a goalkeeper, always wants a clean sheet. The defenders don't want to concede, but you can see that in the game. That's Jolien who's crossed over Butts there to get out the opposite corner to shut to try and stop a cross. He could either have stayed in the middle there and say, I'll deal with the cross if it comes. But he's like, no, I'm going out there. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to step out and I'm going to try and stop it at the source. And like, you see, anytime they blitz the ball anywhere in and around our box, there's 3-4 jerseys running about them. Blakey working hard there just to put a little bit of pressure and not give them that time and space to get their head up. It was a real performance for, you know what, a really, really good team.
Well, just on that then, you said there about the players that they're going there and beyond for, like you say, Julian, all over the pitch really, you dropping back. Is that something that David Jones worked on as a manager then? As you know what I mean, you do part in the play, you do in this situation, if we get a goal, we're going to be a little bit more compact, a little bit harder to break down, or is it something that he just allowed you to go out and play the way, because you knew that you had the experience, you knew that you had the quality for sure to govern yourself and play the match because you were involved in it?
No, listen, you never want to downplay the role of a manager, because the manager is obviously the most important person at the football club. You know, he needs to put the right characters together, he needs to put the right team on that field to play, and ultimately he's the one that all the pressure falls on. But see, when you look at, like Neil said earlier, in fact it was Mickey said it earlier about the characters and these the players in that particular team. Like, if you look at the careers, whether it's Ince who was coming and Dennis who were at the end of their careers, but the careers they had, then the careers that some of the boys went on to have, the winners, you know, winners, absolute winners, they're leaders, they're men that knew what it took. You know, the brains were there, the football intelligence was there. And again, I keep coming back to it. For me, like Jolien says, all these lads in that team and that dressing room played a part in his development. And I've said this many a time, that as a young player, coaches and managers can be great for you, and ultimately you want to work with the best, and the information and the roles that they give you are important for you. But for me, I've always learnt most of the players that I've played with. I remember when I was a young lad and I first went to Rangers, it was Michael Moles, it was Ronald de Boers, it was Van Bronckhorst, Al Berts, that you're learning off, and then you come to Wolves. And wee Mickey was great for me as well. When I was still a young boy, and wee Mickey kind of signed probably around about the same, within the same week or two. So I always remember after the international, Mickey, the tours, you picked me up, the tours drove down together. So Mickey was great, and obviously I'd known Colin for a long time, playing against him and watching him in Scotland. I knew how good a player he was, so he was big for me as well when I went there. But having that blend of young players, but winners, absolute winners that were putting their body on the line. So when you've got Ince and Dennis, they were huge for us, absolutely huge signings for us at that moment. Off the back of a real capitulation, to be fair, in that season before, where the wheels fell off at the end of the season. But to bring the two players with the experiences that they had, international footballers, players that have won everything there is to win, was massive for us. And you had Ince in the middle, who Ince was far more vocal than Dennis. Dennis led by a different way, whereas Ince demanded and he controlled and he shouted and he bawled, and it was just huge for us as a team. So he wouldn't have allowed that to happen. See if they got a goal, he would have been through it. Dennis would have been through it. Big Paul Butler would have been through it before. These guys have seen it all and done it. So we would have been fine, but we didn't want to concede that goal. And again, obviously the end result of 3-0. The lads put their body on the line to make sure that happened. And Big Matty was massive that day. It was it was colossal for us the whole season, like Mickey said. But anything that came in that box, and I've told the story in appearances, anything that came in that box, the big man just came and took. They were doing. Was there the long throw? Who was it that took the long throw? Was it Kozluk?
Kozluk, yeah.
He took the long throw, but he was actually throwing the ball outside the box, so Matty couldn't come and take it. He was actually coming and just taking corners and throw-ins and anything in that area. He just came and took that day. So.
And anybody that was in the way as well.
And Nails as well, and just took Nails right out of the game as well when he needed to. But it was. It's always nice. We see when you've got that safety net behind you, and the belief and the confidence in a goalkeeper and a back line always gives you the belief that, we're good enough, we'll get chances, see if we can put the goals away. Then these back boys are secure.
Guys, you've got to explain, because there'll be fans who'll be going, why is Colin Cameron called Mickey?
Why are you?
Well, obviously the cartoon character, I was at school, wasn't much, I was small, a lot smaller than probably everybody else at the school. So, and I've got features that are similar to.
What a feature of the day!
That's where it came from, the fact that obviously I've got the sticky ears and I was small weight like Mickey Mouse, so I just got Mickey. The only person that, if you're ever with me and my mum's there, do not call me it, because she was the matches because she was fighting with people in the stands for calling me it.
Oh, brilliant.
Matty, I've got to ask you as well, it's something that, you're the big friendly giant, you're such a nice guy, but is it, like you're quite aggressive when you go on and you're playing your games? Is that something that's forced? Is it something that you're very knowledgeable about and aware of in game scenarios or not?
I think, I mean, you can get all deep into it, but like with my background going up and everything else, and there's certain things going on in my life there, sometimes I did have to stand up for myself and have that side to me. I would like to think that I'm quite a friendly, easygoing person, but the gaffer's just come on now, and I think that one of the things that I knew I had to do, I mean, the gaffer might tell you about this, but when he first came into the club, he tore a few strips off me, and I had to react one way or the other. Was I gonna be this nice guy and everybody's friend, or was I gonna be everybody's friend at the right times, but otherwise do things that were best for my career? So that was a chat that the gaffer had with me, probably splattered me all over the wall, if I'm honest, but I just went back, analysed it with TC, who maybe told me a little bit more softly, and then it was like that, right, I go in the gym, I do all my stuff, and I know, like I said before, there were certain things that I wasn't able to do better than Mike Blokes, but if I played in the gaffer's team and kept the ball out the net and took crosses, and you either don't come for crosses or you do, and that was something that with my attributes that I was able to do. So if I made the saves, catch it, throw it, kick it in that order, then that would get me in the team. So yeah, I had a conscious thing that the lads respected me. They knew when I called keepers I was coming, and of course I got a few wrong, but I felt that I got more right than wrong. And when they start crossing the ball deeper or throw-ins going further out, and as Kozluk's long throw was a big weapon of theirs, then that was someone, that I felt could be a super strength for mine, if you like, to get me in the team and keep me in the team. But as I say, if you made a mistake, as long as it was an honest, genuine mistake, then everybody got behind you and backed you, and it was that. If you didn't come when you should have come, then they would have, the lads would have demanded from me. So this was a perfect game for me, and it was a nice finish to the season. Just wish I could have built on it, but it was a good afternoon.
As Matty's mentioned it, we should say hello, Dave Jones, by the way.
Afternoon, boys.
Gaffer.
All right. That's the longest answer I've ever heard, that.
Shock is coming for me already.
Jesus Christ. We had to get you out the gym. That was the first thing. You had the body of like a mountain and the legs of a chicken. It was building your legs up more than your body.
Yeah, well,
I do remember the conversation, to be honest, Matt. I do remember it. It was a choice because you'd had a lot of injuries and two knee injuries after, one after the other on the same knee, I think it was. So it was basically just getting your confidence back. But I remember the long conversations with you, to be fair, but that was one of the longest answers I've ever heard.
Dave, we've had obviously Julian and we'll have Niels on. We've got Kenny, Colin, and Matty there, and they've all spoke about and touched on, I guess, your recruitment and about a balance that there is of quality in that team, ages, the different kind of temperaments of the players. How important is that as a manager to get the ingredients right?
Well, when I first arrived at the club, I think they had near on 39 pros. I think 4 of them weren't even in the club. They were away in Belgium somewhere getting treatment. So I never even saw them 4. So I just remember saying to the chairman, we probably, 6 or 7 players, and he went, "Oh, I thought we need more than that." And I said, "No, that's what you keep." I think the rest were just on big wages and not doing what the club expected them to do. So it was about finding the players, and to be fair, the club did back us to a certain degree on financially to go out and get these players, and it was then just trying to get the players to agree to come to the club and sell them the ambition, and luckily, that's what happened. And I must say, it's one of the best squads I've ever worked with, because their work rate was phenomenal. They expected the best. They demanded the best from each other, and there was lots of arguments and disagreements with them. But I think that was because a lot of them, if not all of them, were just born winners. To be fair.
Just to cut you, this is handball. This is by Sparky on the line, and that shot come in. That should have VAR would have given a penalty here. What?
And how the hell you got man of the match? I don't know. Oh, blimey. I've got a goalkeeper. You win 3-0 and a goalkeeper gets man of the match.
No comment.
This one you should have held.
No, this one I did get very lucky with. And that's when you sort of, things like this, it's your day. I should have either held it or tipped it around the post, but then when it drops the page and he puts the rebound over.
I should have held it. It's one for the cameras, isn't it? Look, it hasn't even connected with it, look. Oh my God.
If that had gone in, Mimsy would have come for me, because I did the little flick push which he coached me not to do. But say we rode our luck a little bit. But yeah, I'm glad it did stay out. But 100% my side.
Look,
it's a lucky save. It stayed out. You got to keep it out. That's amazing.
Clean sheet, Matty. Clean sheet.
There we go. As you can see, the gaffer used to give me a lot of tough love.
Listen, you had one job to do, which was to stop it going in the back of the net, so it wasn't very difficult. Listen, I've said many times on interviews that I've done before, I don't care who we would have played that day. I think the first 45 minutes, you could have played anybody, a Premiership side or anyone. I think the lads were really up for it and determined to get what they missed out on the year before. And I think they thought they got a lot of stick for unwanted stick from the year before. So our job, myself and TC and all the coaching side, was just to keep them focused. And to be honest, that was the easy part, because if you watch them walking out, no one's waving to the crowd, to their families. I think it was just sheer determination, and it's the first time as a manager, and we don't get it many times, that at half time you have a glow in your belly because I think if they'd have scored the penalty, I think we'd have just gone to the end and got another.
Yeah.
We were always confident about beating Sheffield United that year. And I just think it was a perfect stage for the players to perform, and they did. And I've got nothing but respect for all of them. And the ones that didn't play, and that was the hardest choice for me, was leaving them out, either on the bench or, you know, not getting a shirt. That was the hardest decision for me, because we always felt as a staff that no one was going to beat us on that day.
Yeah.
It was difficult for us to get them to go down even the night, you know, a couple of days before. Everybody just wanted to treat it as a normal day, a normal away game. So it was very difficult. No one wanted to go and see the stadium. They were just, I think, so focused. As I said, full credit to them all.
I think everyone's quite curious about what players go through a couple of days before a match. You've travelled down, but for a manager, you know, those difficult conversations that you've got to have with players, and how do you prepare? You know, the nervousness, the superstitions. As a manager, when you went down, what do you do those couple of days before, the night before a match, the morning of a match? Did you have those conversations, dropping players, telling the team as it was?
No, I just hid. I didn't want to be beaten up. No, listen, yeah, of course. I always remember us training, I don't know, the lads remember this. We were training when they were selling the tickets, and they had to open the doors for the fans to watch the training session. And they were coming in the droves. But and then I got a shout off Jez Moxey and Richard Skirrow to go and see the chairman in his flat, which he had in the ground. So I went up and expecting to say, look, boys, you know, wish you all the best, make sure we get it done. And so Jack told me that some guy, a friend of his called Oscar, had said that we'd lost the dressing room. Now, you've got to bear in mind the season that we just had, the way the lads were playing. And I've never found out to this day who Oscar was, but he said that you've lost the dressing room. And I just said to him, no, it's in the same place. It's never moved. It's opposite the away and next to the physios. And he went, oh, okay, all the best. And that was it. And I thought I was going up to be told, you know, listen, tell the boys, you know, to get cracking and let's get this done. But to this day, I've never, ever found out who Oscar was. And I know that, honestly, God, that is a true story. But for me, and I'm sure Terry and all the other coaching staff, we just knew the boys were focused on it and we weren't going to let this one go. And even at half time, when I asked them, we've got two options, go out and entertain or go out and bore the pants off everybody. And there was only one player who wants to entertain, and he was the one who's just flicked the ball on now, Blakey. And everybody shouted him down, told him to shut up and let's just get the job done. And that's what they did. And I've got nothing, as I said, but full praise for them, because it was a good 2 seasons, to be fair. I just don't think we got the credit for the first season that we were there.
Kenny and Colin, I'm conscious that we've had you for an awful long time, so I will let you go in a minute if you need to. But the big thing I wanted to say to both of you before you do go is kind of that element of, I don't know how much you guys are aware, because you don't always live in Wolverhampton, you've been away for quite a while, how much you as a group are immortal to many of the fans, that they will always look back on this team and this game and your performances in it in a way that certainly I know the 2009 team are a little bit jealous of at times, because you will always be the side that took Wolverhampton Wanderers back.
That was what we had. I remember when I came down on loan initially, the gaffer showed me on he told me the ambition, he told me the plan to get the club back up. Obviously, we were flying that first season as well, until that last 10 games, but we always knew we had that opportunity to take the club, to be the players that took the club back to the Premier League for the first time, definitely, but back to the top flight for the first time. And what's behind that goal somewhere? Was it 21 years, 22 years, and however many days, minutes and seconds it was up behind that goal? I always remember it. So we had that opportunity, but that was the culmination of the season. The boys were great throughout the season, and again, I keep coming back to it, when you look at that squad of players, and it's not just the starting 11, it's Dean who's coming on from me right now, it's Alex Ray, who had a huge role to play as well, Adam Proudlock, another young boy there, who came on and played his role throughout the season. The squad was so strong. and there was a real belief and determination. And I remember it's probably one of the most, I don't really get too nervous before games, but before that game I could really feel the nerves, because I knew what it meant to everybody, the fans, the club, to us as players. I came down again once I signed the permanent. It was to get to the Premier League. I wanted to play in the Premier League, and that was all on. That was all at stake, all on the table. So it was, but the lads were great. Really believe in it. The experienced boys were massive for me. Again, Jolien touched on it. Absolutely massive for the younger boys, and kind of showing them what it took to be players at the top level. You know, Inces, Blakey's, Paul Butlers, Dennis Irwins, Alex Ray's, wee Mickey. They were great for us. So again, Matty, myself, Jolien, Nails, Proudy were. Keith Andrews was kind of floating about as well around about that time. There was a good young group as well. But what a day! Like I said, one of the best days of my career. I'll always be up there. 75,000 people at the Millennium Stadium in a playoff final and 1-3-0. Like, it doesn't get any better.
I think for me, that's probably the best stadium I've played in for atmosphere. I know, obviously, we was winning 3-0. It's going to be like that, but I remember actually walking up the stairs before the game, before we even got changed in that, just as we got to the stadium. And I'm thinking, I could hear noise and I'm like, this place sounds like it's half full. You know, and you walk out and there was maybe about 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people in, but it sounded really noisy. And I thought, geez, what's it going to be like when it's full? You know, and the atmosphere was fantastic. But as a player, I think whenever you go to any club, you want to be remembered. You know, you want to leave that club and have them talking about you and that. And we were given the opportunity with getting promoted, and you know, since they changed the name, you know, to be the first Wolves team to get to the Premiership. So that was a big thing for a player, you know, to be remembered. And I still, when I go on holiday, I always bump into Wolves fans. Wherever I go, there's always somebody with a Wolves top and that, and they're right over, you know, saying thanks for the memories and all that. And you know, it's a great feeling that.
That's it, isn't it? That thumbs up from Sir Jack. That's the memory.
Yeah,
that's a moment for me that I thought I'd been at Wolves since the age of 9. I've known the heartache when we missed out so many times. Playoffs to Palace, Bolton, whatever. Finished second. Wolves had a knock. There was only one team on up automatically. What the gaffer mentioned, what happened the year before when we lost to Norwich, but still felt that this is Wolves, and the Wolves fans are a little bit nervous. The minute Sir Jack put his thumbs up there, it felt to me that like the Wolves fans took a deep breath, and then the place started bouncing, and they knew they were going to be okay. And but as you say, like to be in that team, to be part of it, that the first team to go to the Premier League. Yeah, so many. But I don't know about you guys, it makes you feel old because you see people who say they were 9 or 8 or whatever at that game, and now they're big adults, and you suddenly think, "Whoa, was it that long ago?"
Matty, we are old.
Yeah.
Still on to 50. I can't believe that. I still feel about 25.
How old are you?
47.
Yeah, I'm big 40 next year. Crazy times. Crazy times.
I think even afterwards, I mean, I don't know what the lads were like, but I don't remember a great deal about the actual game or the build-up to it. I think it was more after the game that I remember the sheer joy and relief within the dressing room with everybody. And I think, you know, it's what we all wanted. It was just getting over that line, and because the club had took whatever it was 20 plus years to get it, and they'd always spoke about this, and you know, every team had let the fans down each year for that 20 odd years. I think it was sheer relief for everybody associated with the club. And I remember seeing Sir Jack later on in the day, and I still think it hadn't sunk in with him, even though he's sticking his thumbs up. I think even he couldn't believe what had gone on, and you know, I'm amazed that it's still looked upon, because you know the club's been promoted many times after that, and I was surprised how everybody says it's one of the best days of their life. I mean, even getting married and everything else, people are telling me, the Wolves fans, it's better than getting married. And
I can agree with that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're saying this in front of the wives as well. They're even agreeing, because you know they're probably with their husband, you know, before they were, you know, at the time. Like, so I was just afterwards. I think it was the relief and going through the city as well. I mean, that was unbelievable on the coach. That was quite scary, really, because I think everybody just spilled over with sheer happiness, and the weather made it all. And I just think it was a great day. And my wife tells me it was the best day of her life.
She was going to spend your bonus, Gaffer. That's why.
It was getting the bonus often was the problem. I'm just disappointed more than anybody that they just didn't invest after that. And I think Mick, talking to Mick and Jez many years afterwards, I think they benefited from this game, because when Mick got promoted, I think they made the investment in the club to make sure that they didn't go down. And I think that was the disappointment for me and all the players that I've spoken to, and I'm sure all lads are on there, that the club, for whatever reason, and I've never found out, didn't go on and invest, because that team would have been good enough, and they certainly proved that the second half of the season when we started to pick up. But they needed investment and they needed help, and for some reason the club didn't do that.
On that, Dave, I think you look at that group of players, it was a great quality, good experience here as well, but it's important that the players see individuals come in that pre-season, which was the case. I know we've spoke with me and Mikey, I've had Butts on, and he said that there was certain players, you had a list, and
I had 4 players, yeah.
There was players supposed to be coming in, it just never materialised, did it?
No, I mean, I went down. People have got to remember as well, because of the playoffs, we were nearly a month behind teams that had already been promoted. Yeah. So we always had 2 plans: one if we didn't do it, and one if we did. And when it came and we went down to London, I went down with Jez, and then Sir Jack told me what I got. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And in all honesty, and I've said this many times, I should have just got up and walked away and said, look, that's not giving them a chance. But your ego and, you want to prove them wrong. And I think I honestly do feel it had an effect on the players, because they wanted good players to come in and help them as well. And the squad was good enough to have them additions and stay with that. But they didn't do it. And I couldn't believe it. And then we lose, Jolien, and we lost Matty for nearly all the season, and that's when we needed to dig really deep. And I'm sure Jez can give the answer, because he's, Sir Jack can't now, God bless him. But I just didn't understand why on that day. And I think Jez was surprised that when he said you've only got 3 million. I just couldn't believe it. I'd already spent 20 on the players.
That's the thing. I think it's a big difference. This game is worth 25 million. I think at the time, is it 180 million
more.
Or something? 200 million now?
No, more. It was billed. I was told at that time, it was billed as the biggest money-making final, and all the FA Cups and League Cups and other finals that had gone on before. This was the biggest. And don't forget, people, you've got to remember what it was bringing to the industry at Wolverhampton as well. Yeah. Because hotels were going to be crammed with, United and Man City and all these supporters and Arsenal's. So the whole economic side of Wolverhampton was going to rise. So it was billed as one of the biggest finals ever. Yeah. And we, the club, what the club were going to make from it, it just baffled me. And I'm sure it did the players. Listen, I've spoken to many of them afterwards as well, over the years, and I think they all say the same. They were looking for some help, and the recruitment team and myself and all the staff, we got what we could, and we were unlucky because they just missed out. But if we'd have started the way we finished the season, I think it would have been all right. But it was difficult. It was difficult for everybody within the club, because when you go into places like Arsenal and Tottenham and everything else, and we give great accounts, but then I always remember going to Old Trafford when we were doing really well, and Sir Alex said, got us 3 subs up, trying to get changed, And then them 3 subs is like Solskjaer, you know. It's just ridiculous, you know. Chelsea bringing on Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank when we were winning down there, and then they ended up winning 2-1. It was just little things like that. We just needed that little bit of help. But, you know, Joleon and Matt were big losses to us because they were the big stalwarts within the team anyway.
At least I'm on the second longest answer now.
Yeah. Don't have a go at me, Matt, because I've got more stories about you than you of me, so don't worry.
I was just going to say, you bring up Manchester United. Kenny knows that I bring this up every time I've spoken to him, because it is one of the big moments of that Premiership season, beating Manchester United at Molineux, Kenny.
Oh, and again, an incredible day, an incredible memory. That day was top v bottom at Molineux, I remember it. And again, like any game, you need to ride your luck. And I remember some of the shots that were flashing across the goal, and players were blocking shots, and goalkeepers making saves. And it just so happened it fell perfect at that moment. Dennis had a clearance for a throw, and it fell onto my foot, miscontrolled it, overran it a little bit. Wes Brown thought he could nick it, managed to sneak past him, and Tim Howard should have saved it. So, and the rest history. But 1-0, I mean, again, a hard-fought day. Big 3 points at that time as well, which, again, would have just kept us in the hunt to try and get ourselves out the relegation zone at that moment. But again, like you say, an incredible day, real good memory. Like Mickey says, you'll always be remembered for that. Sometimes there's things you do through your career that nobody can take away from you. They can't take away that day, that playoff final that will go down history for that, getting the club back to the Premier League. We all played a part. Like you say, the coaches, the staff, all the players. A fantastic group. Like the gaffer says, he said it was maybe one of the best they worked with. It was one of the best that I'd played with as well. It was a fantastic dressing room, real tight-knit group between the coaches and the players, and the connection to the fans. It was an amazing day, and again, getting that goal against Man United was definitely the highlight of the following year.
Kenny and Colin, I say I'm really conscious that I've had you for a long, long time, so feel free to leave us if you wish. We've still got a couple more minutes, and we will see the trophy lift as well. But thank you very much for joining us today.
Guys, thank you.
Cheers, boys.
Pleasure.
See you, lads. Take
care, guys.
See you.
Stay safe, guys.
I don't think Kenny remembers that. My lad asked for his boots after he scored that goal, and he kindly gave them to my boy. And then he went and sold them on eBay.
Was that the Man United game?
Sold them.
Clever play from him.
You know, I thought he was like keeping them as a memento, and he went and sold them. He had a fortune on them.
Brilliant.
So, no, and again, they're the highlights of the season for me. The Man United games, and there's lots of others, you know, within that season. But,
Gaffer, you see, when going back to the final, how hard was it to make the substitutions and maybe not bring Alex on but bring Crowdy on? How hard was that? Because everyone seemed to deserve their part in their own way, but you can only bring 3 of them on.
Yeah, you've got to remember, you know, the likes of George, you know, was injured at the time, couldn't play. There was other players that had made a major part within the season. Alex was a big one because, you know, the majority of the time he played within that season. So that was the hardest thing for me. And I'll be honest, I was dreading the build-up to the game to actually tell these players that they were going to be sitting on the bench or they weren't even going to be in the squad. And no, that's probably one of the hardest things I've done. And I've done it since with other, you know, with other teams. But because of the camaraderie that we had all together, and it was a very tight-knit group. You know, even though half of them didn't like each other, it was still a very tight-knit group. And no, I found that very hard. And
it never showed that.
It was a tough decision to even get the team, to pick the team, because, you know, I could have picked another 4 or 5 players, and they would have just done as good a job as well. But you just go with, I just went with what my gut feeling was and what was the best team on that day. And it was very difficult because a lot of them players played, you know, a major part of it.
Dave, do you demand a lot of honesty from your staff? You know, I know that the decision that comes down to you, but you're very reliant on the staff behind you to say, and argue the case for another player or whatever it is, just to put that kind of thought in your mind or not?
Yeah, you have to have that. It's no good them just agreeing with everything you say. Listen, you know, all the staff I've had, you have many battles and that, and we had many arguments about who should play, who deserved to play. At the end of the day, once I decided what the team was, and of course the staff knew before anybody, then whether they liked me picking that player or not, and listen, there was players that didn't play that, you know, the staff wanted to play. But once I'd made my mind up, they were fully 100% behind me. They would never ever shown or said to another player, look, I think you should be playing and not you. And people think about building a team, you know, on the field. It's just as important to have the right team off the field, because players are absolutely, listen, you know just as well as me, players are brilliant at finding an Achilles heel.
Yeah.
And if they find that weakness, that one staff that's not with the manager, they'll always go to that, you know, because if they're not playing, they want comforting off that member of staff and everything else. And I've been lucky in my career that I've always had good people around me. Yeah, I get the plaudits, I get, you know, the trophy and everything else, but I couldn't do it without the rest of them lads, you know, that were with me. And even at the other clubs, I've just been very fortunate in my career that I've always had good staff around me, because that's what you need. You get them players find that one Achilles heel. It goes through your football club like I don't know what. It's, you know, and it's not healthy as well. Yeah. So we were very, very tight. And as I said, we could have arguments. And listen, there was plenty of them. I could have an argument with a player, and then it's done. It's finished with. Nobody held any animosity. Nobody dragged it on, and they couldn't. Otherwise, they wouldn't have got where they were. You know, and a lot of them players, you know, they're top athletes and top elite players, and they demanded the best. You know, when you're bringing in the likes of Paul Ince and Dennis Irwin and people like this, they just demanded the best. But not just from me and the staff, but from the players around them.
Well, that's really nice. Look, all of your staff together at that key moment.
Yeah, they're all jumping up and down saying, oh, what bonus have we got?
Feels too.
That's it. We've got rid of this lot now for the next 3 months.
Bobby Mims was amazing for me. And you look at people that you meet in your life, and Terry Connor as well was fantastic. And certain people come into your life at the right time. As a player, you have to utilise it. But they were fantastic for me. Worked really, really hard. Bobby was like a bit of a psychologist as well, because sometimes he would overthink things, and he was there and he helped you. TC would, as I said before, the gaffer sometimes might come for you, but then he'd come and have that little chat one-to-one and break it down to you. Reinforce what the gaffer said, but just say it in a way that sometimes, you know, that, you know, and he realised, yeah, what the gaffer said is fair. How are you going to react? I thought TC came in, I think, if I'm right, throughout the season. He came in as a first-team coach to the gaffer. He was great. And then just seeing those pictures at the end, for me, Jolie, I've known Adam Proudlock since I was about 11 years of age at Wolves. So him running and jumping on like that was amazing. Jolie and we've been mates since schoolboys, and then through the youth team. So Lee Naylor, all these people. So when you win something like this, to win it is amazing with a club that you love and you feel blessed to have been with and it's part of you. But when you're doing it with your mates as well, it really was the best. I don't know about you, Gaffer, but this was just an amazing time for me. Obviously, you went and experienced so many other things as a player before and as a manager, but for me here to do this with my mates for this club and see these fans, honestly, man, it was a relief at the end, because you just keep that clean sheet.
I think there was a lot of pressure on the players, and we tried to keep that away from the players, to be fair. There was a lot of past history that they were having to try and put right, and that's not a criticism of the previous managers in any way, because there's lots of reasons why it didn't happen, you know, bad luck and everything else. It was just, for me, it was just about focusing on one thing, getting a bunch of players, whether they liked each other or they didn't or whatever. But I didn't want players that came to the football club and just sat around and didn't demand a high perfection. So when you talk about Terry, TC and them, they all had to up the game. And I'd come from the Premiership, I'd come from Southampton, so I knew what was expected of them, and it was just trying to instill that into them, that if you want to get somewhere, you have to go and earn it, and then take it off the person who's trying to stop you from doing it. And that's what we built, and I think that's why we had so many arguments, because if somebody wasn't in training doing it right, someone was always onto them. And I just seen big George Foster there, you know, the recruitment, you know, him going out and all, you know, different places to find these players and everything else. And once I said what I wanted, it was then just about getting them and trying to get them into the club. Kenny Miller was a bit, you know, Kenny was massive for us, because we were losing George. We knew George had a history of injuries. So getting Kenny to come and sign for us was big. And, you know, all the lads down from Scotland, because we were trying to get him to come into a football club that, history-wise, had always failed at the last moment. So that was the demand I put on them, was that you're coming here for one reason only, was promotion. So we never discarded it. You know, even John there, you know, massive part, because he was there well before me, well before him and TC were there a long time before me. So I even had to change their attitude as well. I'll tell you, I don't know whether Matty remembers this. We actually went to Tranmere when I first arrived. That was my first game in the cup, in the FA Cup, and it was absolutely freezing, dancing down with rain, snow, the whole lot. And John wanted to take him on a walk at 11:30. I'm telling you, it was dancing down. It was pouring down. It was freezing cold. I wasn't going out. You know, it was stupid having a walk. And John was determined that the players were going to walk. And I said to John, listen, I said, if they want to go, they can go. If they don't, I don't think it's going to have a bearing on this afternoon's match. They've come in one tracksuit, so they're going to be absolutely freezing cold, soaking wet, and sitting on a bus and then go and play in Tranmere. And all the players were like, because I'd just arrived at the football club, they were half out the door, half in the door. And as stupid as it sounds, that's the day I also knew I had the players, because they all stayed in with me. So they were backing me. And they're the type of things that you test the players with. And John and TC and all them were fully behind me. And when we were playing good guy, bad guy, they were right on board with me. And that's why I said that's why it was important to have a good staff.
And see Doc Perry there. I mean, Doc Perry's still at Wolves now, you know, and he loves the club through and through. Jane, the masseur, still sometimes speak to her as well.
Yeah, I still see them, yeah. I still see him. Yeah. The Doc was the academy, the Doc. So we promoted him as well, which was important within the club, because then people within the club saw that we were also prepared to give people an opportunity if, you know, someone left from the first team squad. And when I say first team squad, I'm not just talking about players, I'm talking about physios and doctors. And so Matt got promoted from the academy. As you know, with Jane coming in and everybody else, it was important.
Well, we never had a masseur before Jane, like full time. So she came in, Jenny as well. And then I was looking at the squad there. And like the gaffer's saying, like, Oaksy was amazing for me. He was out of the team, he wanted to play, but he still supported me and trained me brilliantly all the time. He looked at Ludovic Polle there. Didn't play many games, but again, had been a fantastic player. So the strength in depth was there. We all trained really, really hard. We all played well because we knew that if we didn't play well, we'd come out of the team. And that's something that's interesting there, that the gaffer's saying he maybe dreaded those chats, but it seemed to me that the gaffer didn't care. I mean, look at those names there. You got some big names, big players. But it seemed to me as a young player coming through, you didn't mind if but you would have conflict with those guys sometimes. I remember you and Blakey at Birmingham City. You proper had a bust up, and it was one of them.
I had Butch behind me. I knew Butch would step. If he took one more step forward, I knew Butch was behind me. Butch and Dolly and all them. I had me two wingmen, so I was all right. Oh, but listen, sometimes I'd start an argument.
Yeah.
Just to get a reaction from them. And I always remember on that incident with Blakey at Birmingham, and he then starts to put it, because he'd flung his boots off, and he then starts to put them back on, and asked him what he was doing. He said, "Put my boots back." I said, "No, you're off." And I took them off, and he had another go at me. But then the following game, I picked him again, and he come to see me and asked me, and I said, "Well, that was then. This is now. You've done a good week's training. Why shouldn't I pick you? You're the striker in form." And I think that's what Blakey started to find out about me, and I never took anything personal. There was nothing personal in what I was saying to them, or they were coming back, because I knew I would instigate some arguments just to get a reaction, to get them angry, because if they weren't performing to the best of their ability, you had to use every tool in your box to try and get them to wake up.
It's your way at half time when you come for me, Jolien and Nails and proper tore strips off us, and then you'd have to take me into the shower area to calm me down. And we came out and won the second half for about 3-0, and we ended up winning the game 4-2. I chucked in 2 goals and he proper come for me, but Mimsy just said, "You're going to be a man about this, how are you going to react?" But at the time I was like, wow, this is, and everyone started backing each other, blah, blah, blah. It went off, but we went and absolutely won the game 4-2. And I also think another game that season was when we won against Newcastle in the FA Cup. We hadn't been playing great. George, I remember doing some work with the back four. Everyone was training, everyone was doing the stuff. Won 3-2 against a Newcastle team that was flying. And I really, really believe that game proper kick-started us and gave us a belief how good we were. I don't know what the gaffer thinks, but for me...
I tell you what, looking at these scenes, look at the scenes. I've got to ask you, both you as manager, player, Matt, you've already said that this is probably the biggest game of your career. What do you remember about it, or are you looking at it now and it's just like, just making little things just kind of jog your memory? Because it's like you say, it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. And when the final whistle goes, it's definitely a relief. And then they come to do the interviews, and I was fortunate to say the gaffer said we won 3-0, but they came to us and say, "Oh, you won man the match." That never even entered my mind. So on a personal note, that was nice. But it was just looking around, seeing all your friends and seeing what it meant to these fans. And it's crazy. Half the stadium empties, and then the other half is full of all our fans. You look for your family members, you're jumping about. Don't know why footballers always bounce when they get given a trophy, but they do. The Jack coming over, I can remember that. And Jolien and Nails doing a little dance, and Nails grabbed the flag, and for some reason I put a wig on, and you just get caught up in the moment. But it was an amazing sort of just a relief moment, but it felt really, really special. But the bit that dawned on me more, we got in the dressing room afterwards, and Incy was just chilling, having a beer and a cig, and just getting a massage. Like him and Dennis had seen it all before. Us young pups were spraying champagne everywhere. But when you walk down the steps, and all the media are waiting, and it goes, "How does it feel to be a Premier League footballer?" And that you go, whoa, okay. So look, unfortunately the season didn't happen for me that I wanted, but it was, it was an amazing moment. But it was feeling relief. But watching it back now, you realise how good it was in the tunes. But
Dave, for you, because of what had happened the year before, is there extra emotion in this moment?
Well, I've spoken to you about this before. It sticks in my mind, and it did all season. Now I saw a flag saying "You've let us down again." And I'd only been at the club just over a year, and I'm thinking, "How have I let them down? They've had a fantastic season. Okay, we've missed out. Maybe we should have done it. Personally, I don't think we were ready to go. I know I would have took it. Don't get me wrong." I think we were probably a season ahead of where we actually thought we would have been. But that season was all about promotion. I remember sitting down with Jez and having many, many conversations with him that, look, if we're going to do it, you've got to back us. And I wasn't talking about, expensive players. I was talking about players that I knew would bring us an experience and a type of play as well. A style of play. But I was going to do it. I've been brought up at Everton. That was all my coaching background. I've been at clubs where I all wanted to play. So I wanted to do it my way. And when you look at that, I think, when I'm looking up now at that crowd, all I ever remember is seeing my wife in one of the boxes, standing on, the bars, And all that was going through my head is, I just want to jump. She was more thrilled for me than all my family were, but I just remember the go walking around in Sir Jack and Jez telling me that what he'd offered, 3 months before, I wasn't going to get now, I was going to get less. That was Jez, but everybody keeps telling me I'm still in Bridgnorth, and people call me now and still say it's the greatest thing. Sir Jack, I don't know if you know this, when he went to the stadium, he got mobbed that much that he asked the driver to take him round again. And that's what it was like. But
look, Incy there. Do you know who Incy's talking to there? He's talking to, I think it's Les Ferdinand and all that are in the stand. So he's having a bit of banter with them, and he saw them at the after party, and maybe even Wright might be there. I'm sure it was Les Ferdinand. And I could see Adi Akinbaye in the stand. All people come along, like the gaffer saying, with family members. I saw my stepdad there, and it's mad that you've been going to Wolves since the age of 9 with the Speedway at West Park or East Park, wherever it is, in training. And you always think, I'd love to play the Wolves first team, and to be able to play in this final was amazing with all the lads. But Rachel Hayo Flint coming on, there were so many people that it was such a special moment. I remember I can remember Sir Jack running to you, Gaffer. What did he say to you? Should have been the year before, probably. No,
should have been the year before. He said. I told him 3 years, and he said we should have done it in 1. I don't know if the fans know this as well. I don't know if you know this, lads, as well. Neil Warnock was sent off at half time, don't you, in the tunnel?
Yeah.
You know how that all transpired, how that all came about?
No, go on.
Because Neil, previously when I'd played against him, we always beat Sheffield United, to be fair, when he was in charge. He hated seeing us more than anybody. And any time we got in front, he would always tell his players to start a fight. And he actually started a fight once at the Molineux and didn't come out of it very well, to be fair, with some of the lads we had. And he tried this again at the final. He was trying to get to start a fight in the tunnel to try and disrupt the squad. So we started arguing with him and told the referee what he'd done and everything else. And the referee sent him off and put him back into the touch area. And he was going mad. And we were saying he's always like this. This is the way he always is. And he's going to cause trouble out on the pitch. He's going to be telling people to start fights and all that. And the referee then decided to send him off. So Neil never actually saw the second half. But the one thing I will say, after the game, he was brilliant. Because he did come in and he did say to me, listen, we'd have still been playing now and never won that game. He said, fully deserved, wish you all the very best. And then walked away from me. But after the game, I must say, him and Blackie were absolutely brilliant. I'm not even sure if they come in the dressing room after the game. I'm sure they came in the dressing room and said the same to the players. But he appreciated that day because he knew that whatever he tried, he wasn't going to beat us. And you're looking at there, the Coops and everybody else, George and Dar. They didn't even play. And that was, as I said, I keep going back, that was the hardest thing for me, was not letting them be part of the day on the pitch. But that's important for a player. Even if they sat on the bench, it would have been important, but not to get stripped was very, very difficult. And full credit to them because they've joined in everything. They didn't sulk, they got on with it. They knew how important it was also for the club.
Because they'd had Gustav, hadn't they, Sheffield United? I think Windass had left the camp. I'm sure that he left the camp, whereas no matter how much we hurt internally, everybody was always together, always behind each other, genuinely were happy for each other. And I still think, some of the biggest things, seeing Dennis Irwin and Paul Ince in that start of that season walking, for us young boys especially, these are people we'd idolise. Just lifted everything. And but as I say, it was interesting to see how the gaffer managed all those personalities, egos, if you like, and leaders, if you want. But it was.
Incy told me he was called the governor. I told him he'd be called anything he wants as long as he performs. Because if he doesn't perform, I knew we had so many players that would take his place. And I think Ince will tell you this. The best thing that happened to Ince was when he started training, and he only wanted to train 2 days a week when he first come. And he saw how the players trained. He knew if he didn't perform, then he wouldn't play. And I said that to him because he had good players that could quite easily have gone in and filled his boots at that time. And he saw that, and he said no. Because Dennis never missed a day's training, never missed a minute of training, Dennis. His standards were so high. He dragged the players up to that standard, and then Ince followed. So they demanded an awful lot. You actually see when Matty makes the save, when he nearly scored the own goal.
Yeah.
I think he blames Matty for not keeping hold of it.
He was actually having a go at Nails for allowing the cross, and then he said to me, "It's a good job I didn't go in. I've never scored an own goal in my life." He said that to me. But they were so different, the characters. So as the gaffer says, Dennis just led by example. All he did was come in, train, do his stuff, modest wash bag, everything. If you weren't playing the best, he'd give you a little look. Ince, sometimes he would give it you. He'd demand from you. But he performed. And he'd been there and he'd done it. And he wasn't one who just moaned at you and then didn't do the job himself. He performed. And I just felt, as I say, that blend was really, really there. And he knew at the right time when to put his arm around you, Ince, and another time he will give it you. But so the gaffer had sort of set this dressing room up. It sort of policed it. Do you know what I mean? You sort of looked over us, but we'd have the odd little terror.
I never went into the changing room. I never went into the training. I went into the first team on match day.
The training ground.
Never went into the changing room at the training ground.
Yeah, we just policed
the players. Policed it themselves.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest guy for me that dragged everybody along. I know Dennis and your Cams and all these and Ince's, but the biggest one for me, biggest influence, no matter how he played, good, bad, or indifference, was Butts.
Yeah, Butts was massive.
Butts, because when I left him out and I brought Clydie in, and Clydie did brilliant, and I think I brought him back for the Newcastle game.
Yes, yeah.
He was chomping at the bit. He was chomping at the bit to play. And from that game on, he never put a foot wrong. He was brilliant with the players, kept everybody in check. He was my policeman. He was my leader off the pitch.
I remember coming for crosses, gaffer.
As on it.
And someone tried to elbow me. I know I won't name the player, but he tried to elbow me because I was coming and taking some crosses. Butts just had a little jog past him. All I'd say is that guy did not come near me again. And then if you see at the end of the game, he grabs me and Jolien, and it's like he saw us as his young pup sort of thing. And he'd have a word in Nails, so he'd take the tuck in, do stuff, talk to you, and he did. It's like he took that big brother role, if you like, of in the dressing room, looking after us. So either on a night out with a Christmas do or anything like that, but sort of had your back, if you know what I mean, and protected you. He had that sort of nature.
He was having a nightmare against Bolton at home, and the crowd were on his back. And I brought him off at half time because he was having a nightmare. And we won the game 2-1, and I gave everybody 2 days off after the game. So I'll just see you back on Friday. And Butch lived in Manchester. He drove all the way from Manchester on the Wednesday morning to ask me why I brought him off.
You not have your phone number?
And I wasn't going to tell him that he was crap. I wasn't, he played crap. So I told him because he wasn't playing well. And he looked at me and he went, "That's okay. If you brought me off because the crowd were having a go at me, I wouldn't have liked that." Got back in his car and went back to Manchester. He literally drove in the following day to ask me that question.
Be honest.
I remember TC saying to me, if you'd have said the crowd, you brought him off because the crowd were having a go, I think he would have killed me. He was still fuming from the night before. What time did I bring him off? 8:30, something like that. He was still fuming at me.
Be honest, gaffer. When that door opened, how did you feel?
The room went dark.
Nice.
We used to call him Harry Potter because some days he'd come in and not speak to anybody. He thought he had that magic cloak where no one could see him. And I always remember the lads, because he came down with Oaksy, Sparky, Dennis. The They all came down in the same car. They always knew what mood he was in when he got in the car. Because if he said good morning to them, they knew he was fine. If he never said a word, nobody said a word in the car for an hour coming down from Manchester, he said. But he was brutal. He was brutal with his assessment of performances. And it didn't matter whether he played badly, as long as the team played well. That's what he was all about. And that's why, for me, he's probably a massive captain within that football club. Big character with big names around him. And he give as good as he got, Butts, and he kept everything in check. And then he had his little soldiers around him, you know, the likes of Jolie and yourself and all, you know, Nails, the little young ones that he used to bish and bosh about. But no, he was, for me, he was fantastic.
Do you remember the old fight at Preston away? Do you remember? Or I don't think you caught it. TC caught us. So we used to play a game where you used to have to put you do that, and if you can put your finger in, then you won so many points, and giving each other slaps and all that. And we used to play it on the pitch in the game. But anyway, it'd been like
that's all I had to put up with.
So I remember playing in the game in the corner, and Jolie would go, Blakey, like that. And then he'd go, oh, you're 5. And then he'd be like, you lot behave, sort of thing. So anyway, we'd been baiting each other. We reckoned as youngsters had too much for the old ones, and they reckoned they had too much for us. And we had this pre-match meal. It was the game. It was the night before Georgian Dar scored that goal. We ran the whole length of the pitch at Preston away.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, my days. TC, come in. There were tables everywhere, people in headlocks, people being pinned down. I ended up wrestling with Blakey, of all people. I was like, oh my days. Anyway, then it got broken up, and then Jolien and Nails followed Blakey to his room and done him in his room on his own. And that was the fun we used to have, but it was great times. And
I didn't know anything about that, you see, Matt, so thanks for that.
Guys, final thought then. 19 years, 13 days, 22 hours and 20 minutes. I said it to Kenny and Colin earlier. You guys will always be immortal as far as fans are concerned for winning that game and getting back to the promised land. And I know it didn't quite work out the way that you all wanted it to, but looking back on it today, it must bring back some incredible feelings for both of you.
It does for me, because you say it didn't work out, but it did in a way, because it probably set the club on the path, for Mick following and other people, the managers now, and and everybody else. I think it probably set the trend for the football club that not to expect second best, and I think that's, for me, it was the start of what the club is going through now, and past experiences with Mick doing what he did at the club and getting him promoted and keeping him in a division. I think it was all part and parcel of the growth of the football club, and doing bricks around the football club with your names on. That means an awful lot, because you're leaving some sort of legacy, and I was just happy to be part of that. Even though I don't think they paid me enough at the end of it. But listen, I'm only joking, but it was nice. And I've been at some good clubs, but Wolves will always have a big part in my heart because of what went on in them, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, well, for me, it was so special. I'm gutted that I didn't get to play more games for the gaffer and for the club, but to have joined Wolves, as I say, at the age of 9, pretty local lad from Lichfield, to play in a final with my mates, to have understood what the fans went through. And then when you do see those scenes, when you do meet fans and they speak to you, no one can ever take the memories away. And, I think, the gaffers said this: players come and go, managers come and go, owners come and go, but the fans are the constant. And that is a part of Wolves' history. And look, since then, they've been down to League One and this and that, and obviously riding high at the moment. But I do believe, obviously, the first ever time to go to Premier League is, was a big moment. But for me, though I had all the injuries, didn't reach what I believe I could have gone on to do. No one can ever take that season away from me, that game away from me. So I do feel very, very blessed and honoured with that. And it was just, I know I've been involved with squads that have been promoted in other ways, But I still think if you go up through a playoff final, as long as you go up, it's hard to take away better feeling than that, because it was just an awesome afternoon.
It's actually the best way to go up, to be honest.
Well, Looms understands why the 2003 team.
Sorry?
Well, now Looms understands why the 2003 team is revered as better than his 2009 team.
I don't think anyone would say we're better. I think it was a very different team, and that's why I think what Gaffer did in Dave with that team was built with, say, the real blend. I think Mick did it in a different way, finding some of the younger players like Kites and Wardy and that, and then brought in people like yourself, did it in a different way. But both played with a 4-4-2. Both played with, if it was Sylvan and yourself or Kenny and Blakey, crosses coming in, and the fans loved it and bought into it. So, of course, you won in the way you did. But, it's
all right, it's all right. He can accept it.
Good answer.
No, I'm going to see Kenny Hibbert, and Kenny Hibbert tells me that was the best team that he had. Listen, the one thing I do know, which is constant with Wolverhampton Football Club, that they've always had good players in the football club. Always had good players. And some of the squads that didn't quite just get there, doesn't mean they were bad. It can be injuries or just a little bit of unluck. But Wolves have always had good players. Good young players coming through and good senior players. Yeah. And I think that's the one part of the club. They've always attracted good players, and that's exactly what they've continued to do. It'd be good if you could put the 2003 team or 4 team with the 2009 team. It'd be good if you could do that, because the one thing I do know is that they would still be tough games.
It'd be a hell of a fight as well off the pitch.
Oh, listen, they used to have men. I used to love it, and so did the staff there as well. All the security guards used to love when someone said, "Start a fight," because the one thing I knew, there wasn't many going to beat that team up with Bush.
No one ever done us, man.
They were massive, man. And, there was 1 or 2 tried it.
Yeah.
Big Harty tried it when he was a front. Never came out the second half. He pushed in the dressing room.
That's when I realised how tough Butts was. But I've never had a fight in my life. So whenever it used to kick off, I just used to headlock people and put them with Phil Nelsons and restrain them. So because I'd never had a scrap. But wow, yeah, we were, we could look at
security guys look forward to a little bit of argy-bargy in the tunnel. But no, it was, for me, I've got good memories. Nothing but good memories about even what happened near the end and everything else. I've still got good memories. It's a good club and great supporters. And may their success continue. I hope they go on to better things. I think the club deserves it, So it's going to be tough. It'll be tough this season again when they start. It will be tough because it gets better and better each year. And I just hope that they maintain it and don't go back into the Championship and everything else. I think they're an established Premiership club now, and they've got to stay there. It's important for the fans, important for the city, because it does help the city grow, and it does bring a lot of business to the city.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Stay safe and look after yourselves. And hopefully when all this is over, we can all get together at Molineux again.
Been brilliant. Thank you.
Chris, all the best, mate. Lovely seeing you.
And you.
You Gaffer.
Yeah, see you, Mickey.
Take care. All the best. Big man. All the best.
Dave.
Do our Zoom face now. We try and cut it off.
Hey, you put that on the biscuit. I'm putting your face on the biscuits in.
Have a good one.
Cheers. Bye.